A deafening thunderclap rips the sky wide open as a blinding pillar of energy slams right into the dirt, blasting rubble everywhere and kicking up a massive dust storm while the heavy vibrating hum of unfiltered power fills the air. A booming voice calls out to Leon, dropping a massive reality check. It asks if he honestly believes he's worthy of the absolute chaos that's about to go down. Leon just sits there on the jagged rocks looking absolutely tiny compared to this mind-blowing cosmic flex. While the tension grows insanely thick, the air literally buzzing with the weight of that question. For a dude who spent his entire life whining about how rigged the universe is, a holy sword dropping out of nowhere is one hell of a plot twist. The glowing blade actually speaks its tone dead serious, declaring that true power needs to be handed out fairly. It literally asks Leon for his vibe check on this while he reaches a shaking hand toward the blinding holy glow that just randomly decided to bless his miserable low-tier existence. Cut back to the blazing sun of the Royal Academy, where the world is still stubbornly, agonizingly unfair. A wooden training sword clatters hard against the dirt. As dark-haired Leon eats dust, again, he grinds his teeth, absolutely cursing his trash-tier luck, and furiously demanding that his opponent actually take the duel seriously. He yells, asking if the blonde kid thinks he isn't even worth the effort of a real fight, but the golden boy just shakes his head. With this sickeningly perfect, infuriatingly calm energy, blonde Leon casually drops the fact that literally nobody else in the entire academy is willing to spar with him, except for his dark-haired namesake. Our edgy Leon instantly bites back, spitting that it's only because the blonde prodigy treats everyone like his personal chew toys. Flashing a blindingly perfect smile, the blonde admits he was definitely holding back, but throws out a backhanded compliment about dark-haired Leon leveling up. Meanwhile, the peanut gallery on the sidelines won't shut up, whispering about how the blonde guy is basically a walking legend, while the other Leon is straight up struggling. They think it's peak comedy that these two share the exact same name. Even though the blonde dude obviously hit the absolute jackpot in the genetic lottery, they literally debate the spelling of their names, deciding that even with the exact same letters, the blonde guy is just objectively hotter. It's been 3 agonizingly long years since this shiny blonde version of Leon transferred in, and the massive power gap between them hasn't closed one bit, no matter how hard dark-haired Leon grinds. He just can't lay a finger on a guy who looks like he walked straight out of a Disney movie. He's dead certain this whole humble commoner backstory is complete cap, and wonders why someone with god-tier stats wasn't born into high-ranking nobility. His blood boils over as he barks, asking if the golden boy finds it funny to constantly block his path to the top. Blonde Leon just reaches out a hand, his face dripping with genuine concern. "Are you okay?" he asks. It would be a million times easier to hate the guy if he were actually a total jerk, but this pure golden retriever kindness is just rubbing salt in the wound. Breathing a heavy sigh, dark-haired Leon slaps the hand away and forces himself up. He glares at the blonde, telling him to back off, absolutely refusing to choke down pity from a dude who literally has it all. Suddenly, Chloe stomps over, having witnessed this entire cringe fest. She bluntly asks why Leon keeps picking fights he is mathematically guaranteed to lose, which is a completely fair point, but it definitely doesn't fix his garbage mood. When she spots his bleeding knuckles and steps in to patch him up, Leon absolutely snaps. "Mind your own business," he barks, screaming at her to just leave him the hell alone, his pride way more shattered than his bleeding hands as he violently storms off the training grounds. Later, under a blood-red sunset, Leon violently hacks away at a wooden dummy, unleashing every ounce of his rage. His brain runs through a mental checklist of excuses. Would he be the main character if he had shiny blonde hair? Or maybe if he had a stacked family and an elite master backing his plays? He agonizingly wonders if being born with rich, noble blood would have rewritten his destiny, or if he's literally just coded to be a worthless, non-playable character in someone else's epic fantasy. Crack! The wooden sword brutally shatters into splinters, a painfully accurate metaphor for his mental state right now. Leon realizes the bitter truth in a totally rigged system. Pure, sweaty, hard work is never going to be enough to smash through the massive paywalls of fate standing in his way. Then it hits him. Today is the other Leon's birthday, and there's probably a massive VIP bash happening right now, hyping up the Academy's untouchable golden boy. Utterly drained, he slumps down against a thick oak tree, questioning if there's even a point in waking up and grinding again tomorrow. 3 solid years of his youth feel like a massive scam, but the fire in his gut still refuses to die out. He wonders why he should just lay down and quit, even if the entire game was rigged from day one. Standing under the glaring full moon, he screams at the heavens, demanding the goddess herself explain what his endless suffering was even for, and about his life. He instantly cringes at his own main character syndrome, muttering under his breath that there is absolutely zero chance. that some literal god is actually going to answer a random student's existential meltdown. Cutting back to the party, Chloe is on a relentless mission to track down the missing Leon. Leaving the partygoers totally bewildered, Sir Gilberto walks right up to the blonde guy. Teasingly hinting that the girl just curved him, he drops a bombshell addressing the boy as Your Highness. The blonde instantly shuts that down, snapping back that going undercover is completely useless if he keeps blasting his royal title for everyone to hear. Today marks his 17th birthday, yet the heavy crown of a prince still feels complete. But Gilberto pivots straight to the heavy stuff. A massive prophecy tied to the Clyde Empire's royal bloodline set to trigger in exactly 1 year. The moment the blonde prince officially comes of age, the current emperor's brutal reign of terror might finally crash and burn. Tying into the return of the legendary Holy King Roderick, the blonde honestly feels the hype is getting way out of hand. Especially since Roderick was a legendary hero from 800 years ago. Still, his eyes are locked on the future, desperately hoping to have both the insanely talented Chloe and the unbreakable dark-haired Leon standing right by his side. The legend is dead specific. The exact day a man bearing the name of a lion reaches adulthood, a divine, evil-shattering blade will plummet from the heavens. Meanwhile, as the dark-haired Leon chills deep in the woods, a blinding white-hot light explodes right above him. The prophecy is no longer some dusty old myth. It is literally crashing headfirst into his reality. Leon stares blankly at the glowing blade violently slammed into the dirt. A literal meteor sword dropping from the sky is not exactly your average Tuesday, especially for a nobody. Suddenly, a booming voice commands him to rise, making him frantically whip his head around trying to spot the speaker. When the voice sarcastically asks if he is blind to the shiny object literally right in front of him, it finally clicks that this situation is completely unhinged. This blade is not just some random weapon. It is radiating a blinding aura glowing brighter than the sun itself, making his entire miserable past look pitch black by comparison. Leon honestly wonders if this talking piece of metal is actually a legendary holy sword. The blade instantly confirms his suspicions with a serious dose of arrogance, boldly claiming that Leon was actually the one who summoned it. Our boy is naturally mind-blown, but the sword could not care less about his total absolute shock. It launches straight into a fiery monologue about how this world is fundamentally rigged, a place where those who already have it all just keep hoarding more, while the ones starting from zero just keep losing everything. Yet it fiercely insists that true opportunities must be handed out evenly, which is a crazy bold statement coming from a talking chunk of glowing metal. The weapon keeps spitting its motivational truth, declaring that cowards who refuse to grind have zero right to complain, complaining that life is totally unfair. Apparently only those willing to set their very souls on fire, pushing through insane, agonizing effort are truly worthy of achieving absolute greatness. The blade then turns the heat on Leon, demanding to know if he genuinely believes he makes the cut. Without missing a single beat, he clenches his fist and screams that he is absolutely worthy, his voice shaking with raw, desperate certainty. The sword dares him to back up that talk and grab the hilt. Leon totally gets that claiming a divine weapon is a massive deal, packed with heavy, life-altering consequences. But he also sees it as his one and only ticket out of this miserable garbage reality. Flashes of his relentless, bone-breaking daily grind flood his mind, never skipping a single day of savage practice. Catching his vibe, the sword actually sounds impressed, letting out a surprised hum. As Leon angrily calls out the brutal unfairness of his pathetic life, our boy lays it all out, roaring that he is so incredibly sick of being ranked at the bottom of the barrel no matter how much blood and sweat he pours in. Pushing past absolute exhaustion, he has been fighting tooth and nail to shatter this rigged system he completely refuses to accept. Point blank, refusing to let his iron grit and savage hustle turn into nothing but meaningless trash. When the sword smirks, demanding to know why he is just standing there instead of making a move, Leon fiercely declares he is about to prove his absolute conviction. Finally, the blinding blade gives him the ultimate green light. Deciding his fiery answer easily passes the vibe check, the sword actually dubs him a hero, which is a massive leap for a kid just begging for a fighting chance. Stunned, Leon asks if this means he is the chosen one spoken of by some divine oracle. But the weapon shoots that cliché down instantly. There are no fancy oracles here. This whole deal is based purely on the raw, unfiltered will of the sword itself. It absolutely loves that Leon's unbreakable mindset completely refuses to bow down to fancy noble blood or pre-written destiny. And the fact that he cares way more about proving his worth than chasing shallow gold or clout, since he checks off every single box. A voice echoes urging him to pull it out. Leon tightens his grip on the hilt right as a blinding holy aura explodes across the room, forcing him to squint. Against the piercing glare, the legendary blade introduces itself as Cid, the mythical alter ego of King Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar. This sentient sword claims to be the guiding light of the current era, which honestly sounds like a massive, stressful carry job for day one. Sid officially addresses him as Master Leon, inviting the guy to tag along on a hardcore crusade to wipe out evil forever. Cut to a striking golden-haired figure manifesting in a hazy vision. This mysterious entity ponders out loud why the ancient prophecy was shattered. Noting that the name Leon literally translates to lion, he passionately argues that just because this prophecy is hoarded by the imperial bloodline, doesn't mean it is locked exclusively to them. Apparently, the other Leon is a total letdown. A dude who has the raw talent and the so-called destiny, but zero actual drive to level up. The golden figure figures his silent companion, is totally vibing with this new Leon too, since watching someone completely shatter the rules is super rare. The glowing entity stares up at someone in the heavens, telling them to grab some popcorn and watch closely. Because our boy Leon is going to completely outclass the old leader if he actually uses his inheritance. He is so ready to make those scumbags finally pay their dues. Boom! Leon jolts upright in bed, drenched in cold sweat, frantically wondering if that was just some crazy fever dream. But nope, Sid is casually leaning against the wall like a bored teenager, confirming it was 100% real and reminding him that he totally earned this power. Suddenly, a mystical spirit, shaped like a floating blue eye, materializes right out of the blade, instantly warning Leon not to expect some free, overpowered buff just because he looted a shiny new weapon. He is about to face brutal nightmare-level trials that will make this lucky drop look like an absolute joke. Claiming a massive destiny usually guarantees a seriously messed up life, often demanding the ultimate sacrifice of loved ones or your most loyal friends. Leon just flashes a confident smirk and fires back that this isn't some tragic thorny path, it is a golden opportunity. The spirit immediately respects the hustle, fully agreeing that his savage mindset is absolutely spot on. No time to waste, the spirit orders our main character to stop stalling and hustle straight to the training grounds. It wants to see him swing that blade in action, doing a quick vibe check on his current stats so it can actually train him right. It is officially time for a brutal pop quiz to see if the kid can actually back up all that big talk. Leon looks dead serious, totally locked in and ready to show this floating eyeball during this sudden skill check. Outside, the sky feels heavy with that creepy pre-dawn gloom, painted in a toxic blend of deep purple and bruised orange. Leon locks his eyes on the horizon, honestly questioning if the sun is even going to bother rising today. Hovering right next to him, the blue Cyclops-like spirit flashes an impatient scowl, aggressively demanding to know why the kid has been acting so incredibly jittery this whole time. Gripping his sword with sweat-slicked palms, Leon points out that even though it is literally the crack of dawn, they are still trespassing on school grounds. He is low-key freaking out because a glowing floating eye is impossible to hide, and he has zero excuses ready in case they bump into a random patrol. The spirit sighs, admitting that at this rate, secretly training him is going to be a total nightmare, but tells the kid to chill out because it has a clever workaround. Leon just blinks in pure confusion, asking what kind of sketchy life hack it is talking about. Crackling blue sparks violently dance across his skin just as a blinding flash erupts straight from his palm. The spirit casually explains that by using Leon, the weapon can be instantly summoned whenever he needs it. Plus, since its ghostly form is completely to literally everyone except him, they can grind out training sessions anytime, anywhere without getting busted. Ever the pragmatist, Leon immediately asks if they can multitask and train while he is catching some Z's. The spirit clarifies that sure, it can chill beside him, staying wide awake while the kid rests, but admits that actually leveling up while unconscious is physically impossible anyway. Leon shoots back that the eyeball could at least pull guard duty at night, but the floating orb takes massive offense to that, violently snapping back. That treating a legendary entity like a cheap security camera is absolute blasphemy. Done with the small talk, the spirit forcefully points a tiny glowing blue finger, aggressively demanding Leon finally show off his actual skills. Following the earlier orders, Leon slowly draws his wooden practice sword with a heavy sigh, straight up warning the orb that it is probably going to be wildly disappointed by his tragic stats. But the spirit completely brushes off the insecurity, insisting that a letdown is impossible. It actually acknowledges that Leon has genuinely grinded his absolute hardest with the garbage hand he was dealt in life. Dropping some serious mentor wisdom, the spirit asks what kind of absolute garbage teacher would actually blame their student for stuff they never even taught them how to do. Leon's eyes snap wide open, drinking in that pure validation. His knuckles turn white around the hilt as he gears up to strike. The air completely shatters as Leon lunges forward. His wooden training blade slices through the atmosphere with lethal pinpoint accuracy. Something clicks. It hits different this time, even though he's grinded out these exact same reps hundreds of thousands of times before. He realizes raw power is surging straight into his palms, just from having someone actually believe in him. He leans deep into the momentum, his body flowing with a crazy liquid grace he's never felt before. Snap, the spirit's voice cracks through the air like a whip. Freeze, stop right there. Leon locks up mid-swing. He blinks, totally clueless. Wait, what's wrong? The Phantom points out the blade can't handle that kind of heat. Leon stares at his weapon in pure shock as the wood groans, splinters, and utterly shatters. The ghost raises an eyebrow. Were you seriously using that without even realizing what you were tapping into? He breaks it down, sure, endlessly grinding. The basics is solid for mastering that specific form. But he never expected a guy completely lacking aura to actually pull it off. Leon stares dead at the jagged ruins of his training sword, thinking, what on earth just happened? The spirit brushes it off. You don't need the lore drop right now. He warns that blindly leaning on that power will absolutely nuke his actual skill progression. He swears to reveal the secret once the kid actually levels up. Leon squats down over his busted blade, finally grasping that there's zero chance he can wield that kind of raw juice right now. The Phantom observes the kid's hardcore dedication to the fundamentals. It's so flawless there's honestly nothing to roast him for. So he decides teaching him how to properly pilot his own body is the next play. Leon just looks totally lost. Wait, aren't we doing sword practice? He asks. The spirit drips with heavy sarcasm. Oh, you think you can swing a blade with no hands? He explains that supreme footwork is the absolute bedrock of martial arts. He barks an order for Leon to start running, just to vibe check his physical specs. When Leon asks for a time limit, the ghost straight up tells him to sprint until he says stop. Oh, and he has to mimic whatever crazy moves the ghost calls out, while keeping up the grueling pace. The boot camp takes a wild, weird turn when the Phantom demands handstands and one-legged hopping sprints. Leon's eyes practically bulge out of his skull. Sure, he felt pretty cocky about his cardio, but he's never dragged himself across the dirt yard on one leg or entirely upside down. He has absolutely zero clue what the endgame is here. But he eats the insane burnout anyway, desperate for that power-up. Watching from the sidelines, the spirit looks at Leon like a premium blank canvas, just begging for a masterpiece. An ancient proverb hits him. Something about late bloomers. He realizes this kid is basically a perfectly forged empty vessel, and there's more than enough sauce to fill that hollow shell to the absolute brim. The Phantom calculates his disciple's insane ceiling. He figures even if Leon only absorbs a tiny fraction of his legendary swordplay and the combat data of ancient heroes, he'll easily hit the rank of swordmaster. But there is no way his first successor in 700 years is capping out at just master. He fully envisions Leon casually one-shotting a full-blown dragon. While he has no clue how insanely buffed this era's Demon King actually is, he figures handing over half his power should do the trick. He tells Leon to watch closely because the choice is locked in, though he totally admits. For Leon, this is basically the gates of literal hell cracking wide open. Flash forward to the middle of a boring lecture. The spirit Elcid suddenly calls out his name. Our boy jumps out of his skin. Frantically sweating and swearing, he's paying attention, definitely not sleeping, even though he is fighting for his absolute life, just to stay awake through the class. His hand is literally shaking as he scribbles down notes. Completely drained from Elcid's brutal death march earlier, he pushes through the brain fog, knowing that missing even a single crumb of Elcid's wisdom is a massive L. Out of nowhere, the spirit drops a bombshell. He figured out exactly where to kick off the real training. He grills Leon. What do you think you're actually lacking by your own standards? Leon guesses it's swordplay, or maybe aura. But the ghost violently cuts him off. He declares the real flaw lies right inside. The eyes Leon echoes, totally lost. The Phantom breaks down an ancient proverb, ranking the ultimate combat essentials: vision first, footwork second, sheer guts third, and raw power dead last. It stresses that killer perception is the ultimate game changer, followed by slick movement and iron nerves tossing brute strength to the absolute bottom of the tier list. It is not saying muscle is completely useless, it just rides the bench until those other skills are locked in. The ghost doubles down, emphasizing that those top 3 traits carry the real weight. And even if it disagrees with some of the old teachings, mastering your gaze is totally non-negotiable. Leon lets that sink in, admitting he has literally never heard of an eyeball workout in his life. He wonders if his kinetic tracking will actually level up just by darting his gaze around. The Phantom flashes a wicked predatory grin, dropping the bomb on Leon, that starting right now he is going to learn how to truly see. It swears to expose exactly how blind and useless his vision has been his entire life. Leon just stares back in stunned silence, questioning what kind of hell he just signed up for. Way up high, the blazing sun glints off the towering spires of a massive stone academy, its banners whipping fiercely in the wind. Inside a stuffy wood-paneled classroom, the air is thick with the scent of dusty chalk and mind-numbing boredom. The glowing blue entity hovers right by our guy, whispering the cheat code to actual sight. It dares him to lock in. On the method, ordering him to stare straight ahead and anchor his focus on the teacher for exactly 10 seconds. The mission, hyperfocus, and burn every single detail in his field of vision into his brain. A wide, unblinking eye twitches, catching the harsh room glare as Leon dials in. His target, a middle-aged dude, rocking a bushy mustache, piercing green eyes, and salt and pepper hair. He is gripping a wooden pointer, like an absolute weapon of mass instruction. Even his nose hairs are graying out a gnarly little detail Leon zeroes in on with obsessive intensity. Boom, the spirit calls time and barks at him to shut his eyes. The pop quiz hits him like a total freight train. How many lines of text were written on the chalkboard? Leon's jaw straight up unhinges as the trap clicks. He snaps back, arguing he was explicitly told to stare at the teacher. But the phantom just smirks, firing back that the old man was merely the anchor point, definitely not the sole obsession of his tunnel vision. Defeated, Leon admits he hasn't got a single clue what was written down. The ghost brutally points out that, even though that massive chalkboard was sitting squarely in his peripheral vision, his brain logged zero data. The glowing blue orb floats over Leon's blank notebook, absolutely roasting his empty memory bank. It is a massive fail. The harsh truth is, our boy only zeroed in on what he thought mattered, completely ghosting the rest of his surroundings. The phantom drops some hard logic. Human eyeballs are insanely wasteful, acting like a spam filter that deletes anything it deems useless. While basic humans operate in a super tight tunnel, the ultimate endgame here is unlocking the max potential of a 220-degree field of view. It commands him to stretch his awareness across the entire room, missing absolutely zero details. Once again, our hero narrows his gaze, trying to process the classroom like a static, two-dimensional painting. The goal: burn every single silhouette into his mind, relaxing his focus to absorb the massive big picture. And this is not just some 10-second party trick. Eventually, he has got to keep this god mode active, 24/7. Leon literally grinds his teeth, desperate to call cap on this impossible chore. But he knows being mentored by a holy sword was never going to be a walk in the park. He bites his tongue, refusing to whine on day one. The ghost kicks off the countdown again, ordering him to scan right above the chalkboard. Leon braces himself, but a blonde girl sitting nearby catches his insanely intense, twitchy, glaring, and awkwardly whispers his name, seriously wondering what on earth is wrong with this dude. Later, a golden sunset bathes the campus in fiery orange. As Leon stumbles out the double doors, desperately clutching his face like he is dying, his eyeballs feel like they got scrubbed with raw sandpaper, and his brain is a ticking time bomb of pure agonizing pain. The phantom, annoying as ever, hypes him up, cheering that everything is going flawlessly. The eye strain, just a little dryness and rookie tension. But that killer migraine, that is the grand prize. Since his hidden stats have been completely dormant, forcing them awake feels like shattering solid ice. It is basically just delayed onset muscle soreness, but for his brain. Leon lets out a miserable groan, asking if this torture is literally just leg day for his mind. The spirit casually confirms that, yeah, he definitely maxed out on the heavy mental lifting today. The ghost playfully admits that brains do not actually have pain receptors, but tells Leon to stop whining and just roll with the metaphor. There is literally zero rest for the wicked. As they march down the academy halls, the spirit barks out relentless commands, demanding he count the candles on a random wall fixture. Leon guesses 2, only to get instantly roasted and called a total idiot, because there are clearly 3. The hardcore interrogation doesn't stop. That random guy they passed 3 seconds ago, was he wearing glasses? Leon absolutely nails that one. Yes, but did he have a tie on? Leon chokes, his brain totally blanking. They step out into the dorm area where the phantom grills him on whether the 12th room from the left has its lights flipped on. Leon confirms it does, but when quizzed about the room right above it, he completely stumbles over his own words. Realizing his brain is totally fried, Leon violently crashes onto his mattress with his customized nameplate, still hanging outside his door, groaning as his eyes literally burn from exhaustion. The spirit just hovers over his shaking body, tossing out a sarcastic half-compliment for surviving day 1 without crying for a timeout. Leon practically wheezes out, asking if he would have even been allowed to take a breather, and the spirit drops a cold, hard no. Glaring up at the ceiling, Leon realizes it has been a seriously long time since he felt this mentally wrecked. The spirit drops some hard truth, warning him that settling into a comfy routine is just a fancy way of saying you are falling behind. Muscle memory has its perks, sure, But the second your body figures out a cheat code to coast through the grind, your glow-up completely flatlines. Leon asks what that lazy shortcut even looks like, and his ghostly mentor explains that your body just gets way too cozy with the drill, losing that raw razor-sharp edge needed to level up. The spirit absolutely demands they keep completely flipping the script on his training routine. It suddenly clicks for Leon. That is exactly why they made him sprint on one leg or bust out handstands in the middle of the gym. The Phantom confirms he needs his student hypersensitive to completely unpredictable scenarios. Humans mutate to fit their biome. Sailors get insane balance, hunters unlock a crazy sixth sense. For tracking and nomads straight up develop god-tier vision. The endgame here is to max out his natural stats and patch up those fatal flaws. Elcid breaks it down, pointing out that Leon's base stats are already insane freakish stamina, a titanium mindset, and flawless mastery over the basic sword strikes. But the dark side to that mastery, his attacks are painfully stiff and totally predictable. Leon seriously lacks physical and mental elasticity, simply because he has spammed those exact same basics a million times. Leon violently snaps up into a sitting position, challenging if being adaptable is honestly more crucial than having raw aura or some flashy high-tier sword techniques. The spirit scoffs, explaining that swordsmanship is literally just the craft of swinging a blade. If you can adapt the bare basics to any insane combat scenario, you are already top tier. Sure, legendary overpowered combat styles exist, but the spirit aggressively mocks the idea. Who would realistically hand over those top-secret techniques? Just for a cheap promise of loyalty, Leon tightly grips his bedsheets, letting the brutal reality of his situation sink in. The Phantom respects the harsh truth. As for the whole aura thing, he reminds our boy that the other Leon only clutched the win because he had it. If a literal nobody like Leon randomly started flexing glowing aura inside the school walls, it would instantly scream sus. The game plan is to wait until they are way off campus, to trigger his actual insane power-up. But right now, the absolute priority is unlocking his visual mastery. The spirit asks if he wants to absolutely wreck that guy as soon as humanly possible, and Leon literally growls a massive yes. He declares he is craving to serve up some serious karma. His fist literally pulses with a ghostly phantom energy as he hypes himself up. But the spirit's smirk twists into something totally predatory, bluntly stating that his current hype just isn't going to cut it. The ghost casually reminds him that doing the exact same thing every day breeds insane boredom and fatigue. Leon's stomach violently drops as he nervously asks what the new strat is. The spirit's face stretches into a terrifying nightmare-fueled toothy grin. Oh, it is really no big deal. Starting tomorrow morning, every single wrong answer he drops during his training arc is going to trigger an instant punishment. The ultimate goal, making sure Leon does not get a single microsecond of peace to build up a tolerance to the pain. Our hero's face completely drains of color, as he echoes the word punishment in absolute pure horror, slowly realizing that his daily life is about to transform into a straight-up living nightmare. The floating blue orb of chakra, basically Elcid, fiercely insists he isn't just trolling him for the vibes. He starts breaking down operant conditioning, which is honestly just a super nerdy way of saying he is rewiring this warrior's brain to fiercely hunt down rewards and aggressively dodge pain. Even though our guy has a rock-solid mental defense, Elcid spits facts. Raw willpower alone is never going to be enough. Everybody needs that one ruthless coach to shove them past their absolute limits. A cold drop of sweat slides down the kid's cheek, as it deeply dawns on him that this psychotic ghost is totally right. He knows damn well he ain't mastering this by tomorrow, so if getting totally wrecked is unavoidable, he might as well tank the damage right now, just to grind up that sweet pain tolerance. When Elcid asks if he's seriously down for this brutal method, our guy clenches his fists and tells the sword to bring the absolute heat. A massive jolt of raw lightning absolutely deep fries him, ripping out a blood-curdling scream as jagged blue sparks dance across his scorching skin. The floating blue orb just casually asks if that hit the 5-second mark. While our protagonist collapses onto his bed looking like a human burnt kebab, the orb completely deadpans that he might have overcooked him a bit, since it was only trial run number 1 promising to dial back the voltage next round. But obviously, there's a catch. If our guy keeps fumbling, that dial gets cranked right back to max. Elcid tells him to just stop sucking, and suggests they both go all out tomorrow. Humiliated and totally trashed, all the warrior can do is groan about how much he absolutely despises this demonic sword. Morning sunlight washes over the Academy's stone towers, kicking off an absolutely grueling 30-day training arc. Our MC sprints like a madman across the courtyard, then locks into a flawless handstand, his muscles visibly popping under the extreme strain. Elcid gives zero breathing room, constantly grilling him about his surroundings to force his situational awareness into overdrive. The spirit demands to know the exact pigeon count on the dorm roof, and the MC nails it at 10. When asked which specific one took flight, he instantly fires back the correct answer, calling out number 6. Elsid tries to trip him up with a trick question about the birds by the window, but the MC sniffs out the bait, immediately pointing out there was only a single crow perching there. Elsid casually drops some rare praise, admitting it's actually super impressive, since that bird was basically camouflaged. And honestly, for just a 30-day grind, our boy is cooking. Still, the spirit makes sure to humble him, claiming he only barely passed the vibe check. Finally, after a non-stop month-long hell camp, the MC crashes hard for a much-needed breather. But his chill session gets instantly hijacked when Leon rolls up looking as ridiculously flawless as ever. It suddenly hits the MC that he hasn't laid eyes on the guy since he locked in with Elsid's training, and honestly, it's been a solid 2 weeks since he's even exchanged a single word with Chloe. Leon smirks, noting that catching the MC sweating it out in the training hall right after lunch hour is 100% on brand. He smoothly explains he dropped by out of pure concern, but seeing him grinding away totally puts his mind at ease. I mean, it's been nearly a whole month since our boy last demanded a rematch. That massive radio silence actually made Leon assume the MC had finally rage quit like every other absolute scrub. But getting a good look at that hyper-focused glare right now, Leon immediately knows the guy is still itching for a bloodbath. The MC is low-key stunned that Leon can read him like an open book, but the blonde prince just flashes a knowing smile. He points out that the dead stare of a quitter hits way differently than the absolute raging wildfire burning in the MC's eyes right now. Gorgeous, breathtaking, majestic. Okay, totally capping, he definitely didn't say it like that. The MC awkwardly tries to play it cool, telling Golden Boy that it's super cool he's relieved. But seriously, why is he crashing his lunch break? He casually hints the guy should bounce if he's done yapping, which earns him a dramatic sigh about how ice cold he's acting today. Leon just wants 10 quick minutes to catch up, but our guy is seriously questioning what they even have in common. Eventually, they post up under a shady tree, and Leon immediately drops the elephant in the room. The crazy campus rumors buzzing around that he's definitely not some random bottom-tier commoner. The MC doesn't even flinch at the gossip, straight up asking if they really need to beat around the bush, especially since Leon hasn't exactly been keeping his elite status on the down low. He even sarcastically offers to bust out the ultra-polite bowing and scraping formalities if that's what His Highness really wants. Leon just shakes his head, shutting that down fast. He asks the MC to hear him out man to man, just as Leon the person, not as some untouchable VIP student. Our boy respects the vibe and agrees to the terms. The Golden Prince then casually points out that he's been greenlighting all these one-sided challenge requests from day one. Our MC nods because honestly, he knows damn well Leon could have totally ghosted him without even flexing his noble authority. The only reason they've been throwing down this whole time is pure pity, heavily laced with that classic winner's arrogance. But then, out of nowhere, Leon drops a bomb. He wants to pull the plug on their duels forever. Our guy immediately gets a massive spike of panic. The blonde quickly backpedals, clarifying he doesn't mean quitting right this second. Nah, he wants to go all out and make their next clash the absolute grand finale. It's gonna be a raw, unfiltered skill check. Zero aura allowed, just like before, but with one massive lethal twist, they are bringing out live deadly steel, totally ditching the safe wooden practice toys. Leon suddenly cranks the stakes through the roof, declaring that if he takes home the final win, the MC has to pledge absolute loyalty and become his personal vassal. Our boy instantly realizes this isn't just a spar anymore, it's an all-or-nothing gamble to completely establish the campus pecking order. Our guy straight up questions why the blonde kid would ever bank on a flimsy verbal promise that could be snapped in half at any second. But Blondie reads the room differently. He knows the dude standing right in front of him is way too stubborn and prideful to ever back out of his word. Our MC honestly can't tell if he's being complimented or completely roasted, but Leon doubles down. He genuinely believes in our guy, claiming he's the exact type of dude who keeps his word no matter the cost. Our warrior locks in the terms. If he takes the L, he becomes this blonde brat's loyal vassal, but he demands to know the ultimate payout if he actually secures the win. Leon lays it all on the table. He can have absolutely anything he craves. High-tier swordsmanship manuals, aura cultivation techniques, or even insanely rare elixirs, as long as it doesn't drag his family name through the mud. Our warrior plays it cool, deciding to name his prize on the actual day of the clash. Leon nods in agreement, but demands a 3-day heads up so he can fully prep the battleground. The stage is officially set for an epic showdown. It's our warrior versus Leon, the Golden Prince, handpicked by the Holy Sword to be the ultimate hero, and the guy currently gunning for the Imperial throne. This exact moment marks the kickoff of their first truly lethal duel. But despite radiating pure confidence on the outside, our warrior is visibly shaking. Sweat is absolutely pouring down his face as the sheer anxiety finally crashes into him. He is borderline terrified. But that psychotic grin plastered on his face proves he wouldn't have it any other freaking way. Elsid is legitimately losing his mind. The floating blue blob starts screaming, demanding to know if Leon is actually shaking in his boots. At a time like this, he points out that Leon was literally just talking trash to that lazy punk a second ago, so where is this sudden panic attack coming from? He brutally roasts our guy, asking if he seriously chickened out after making it this far. Leon just awkwardly rubs the back of his neck, admitting that it's not exactly fear holding him back. He's just second-guessing if he actually leveled up. Despite spending the entire last month grinding through hellish training, Elsid just blinks in pure confusion at the kid's total lack of confidence. Leon glares down at his clenched fist, heavily feeling like his overall power hasn't budged a single inch. Elsid lets a heavy silence hang in the air for a beat, before finally stepping in to chill him out. He straight up declares that Leon is already incredibly overpowered. He just hasn't realized it yet. Raw physical strength is one thing, but having pure vision is a completely different beast of a power. It makes total sense that our MC can't feel the hype, simply because he hasn't been flexing it properly. The floating blue mass smugly mentions that he's been pulling some strings behind the scenes anyway, so there's absolutely zero reason to stress out. Then it suddenly hits him that Leon has a massive physical exam coming up later today. Leon nods, confirming the tight schedule. Elsid tells him to get hyped for it, flashing a wicked, twisted grin that feels way too much like a freaking threat. Elsid silently drifts right behind Leon, knowing deep down that something totally mind-blowing is about to go down. He'd bet his life that Leon won't be spouting those pathetic doubts ever again after today. Cut to the massive training field, where the beefy instructor is violently screaming orders, forcing everyone to fall in line by their assigned roster numbers. He barks that if anyone is feeling weak or sick, they better step out of formation right now and drop their name, while the rest of the unfortunate souls are forced to start aggressively warming up for the brutal physical exam. Leon flashes back to the last test, heavily recalling how he barely scraped by in 9th place. Even though these exams strictly measure raw, unbuffed physical stats without a drop of mana, the snobby royals always manage to totally monopolize the top rankings. These spoiled silver spoon brats are literally spoon-fed rare elixirs and VIP training since birth. Honestly, hitting 9th place is the absolute ceiling for a regular street commoner. Leon casually asks about that other guy named Leon's ranking, and Elsid drops the bomb that dude is sitting pretty and dead first. Honestly, makes total sense. That golden boy actually grinds and puts in the sweat, unlike the rest of those utterly useless rich kids born into pure luxury. The actual test is a grueling 800-meter dash, 2 solid laps, and that other Leon, he completely obliterated the track, clocking in at an insane 1 minute and 20 seconds. Meanwhile, our Leon's all-time personal best is barely scraping 1 minute and 40 seconds. That massive 20-second gap makes the #1 spot feel totally unreachable. But Elsid cuts in bluntly, telling Leon to stop psyching himself out before he even hits the starting line. And honestly, even if he is panicking, he really shouldn't be, because he's literally backed by a magical floating holy sword right now. Leon heavily sighs, ultimately deciding to put his blind faith into Mr. Holy Sword. The instructor suddenly rips a red flag into the air and screams for them to go. Leon violently blasts off the starting line. As the chaotic race instantly kicks into high gear, a blonde girl intently watches the massive pack from the sidelines. Leon is absolutely tearing up the dirt track at max speed, his face completely twisted in pure agonizing effort. As he violently dusts the rest of the competition, he totally shatters his record, crossing the finish line in exactly 1 minute and 29 seconds, sending massive shockwaves through the stunned crowd. The instructor's jaw straight up drops. He asks if Leon finally unlocked his aura, but Leon instantly shoots that theory down. Needing proof, the coach asks to physically check him. Leon just shrugs. Be my guest. The instructor channels a tiny spark of aura into Leon's body, hunting for any pushback. If Leon possessed his own energy, it would violently reject the foreign aura. The teacher is completely baffled. Realizing the kid really hasn't awakened his power, he's absolutely tripping over how much the boy leveled up in just a few weeks. He demands to know what kind of insane training regimen he's been running. Leon keeps his cool, casually mentioning he just stuck to the absolute basics and actually started taking breaks. It suddenly clicks for the coach. Before this, Leon's workout volume there was stupidly high, which might just be the secret sauce to this explosive growth. The instructor mutters under his breath. theorizing that his body finally repaired itself through proper rest after years of brutal overtraining. It still doesn't fully add up, though. Meanwhile, Leon pivots to Elcid, aggressively demanding to know what the hell actually happened to his body. Elcid just chuckles, smugly asking if things didn't play out exactly as he promised. Our fierce warrior snaps at him to cut the giggles and spill the truth. Elcid dodges the attitude, hitting him with a biology pop quiz. Where does true physical power come from? Muscles, obviously. Leon fires back. Elcid confirms this, but points out a massive blind spot most people only grind to pump up their size. And muscle density. The sword spirit drops some heavy knowledge explaining that sheer bulk is only half the battle, if you ignore the mind-muscle connection. He schools Leon on the nervous system, breaking down how every single muscle is hardwired, with microscopic neurons. The raw explosive power a muscle can actually unleash depends entirely on how upgraded those neural pathways are. That's exactly why some guys pack terrifying strength without looking like massive bodybuilders. Since Leon had already hit his absolute physical ceiling, Elcid hijacked his routine to hack his nervous system. Leon stares blankly, deeply confused, asking, how the heck that even happened when he never specifically trained for it? Did you do some weird stuff to me while I was sleeping? He asks. Elcid finally drops the bomb, that the agonizing punishments were actually the secret training all along. Leon practically leaps out of his skin, screaming as the horrific realization hits him. Elcid smoothly explains that kickstarting neural pathways that had been dead asleep for over 10 years was obviously gonna hurt like hell. It felt literally like his muscles were being shredded apart. Every single time Leon screwed up his perception drills, that blinding, excruciating pain wasn't just torture, it was his nervous system, violently evolving. Furious Leon gets up in his face, demanding to know why the spirit kept him totally in the dark. Elcid casually brushes it off, saying Leon would have just sulked and whined even more if he knew the truth. Honestly, Leon only managed to unlock his supernatural vision because he was absolutely desperate to escape the non-stop agony. The spirit argues that if the kid knew the punishments were actually leveling him up, he never would have locked in and pushed past his limits like yesterday. You can hit me with a thank you anytime, Elcid brags, claiming he was just doing his noble job as a holy sword. He bursts into a maniacal cackle, absolutely feeding off how perfectly his master plan played out. Leon glares daggers at him, dead certain this holy sword is actually a massive jerk. He seriously starts questioning if this thing is actually a cursed demonic blade, and if the legendary hero Roderick was actually the ultimate villain. Suddenly, the arena erupts into crazy hype, hyping Leon up for completely shattering his personal best. He glances at the massive leaderboard and spots his name sitting proudly at number 2. Still, it eats at him. He grinds his teeth, frustrated he couldn't completely destroy the other Leon's score. Elcid snaps him back to reality, saying it'd be wild to snatch first place in just 4 weeks, warning him not to get too comfortable yet. Leon gets that, but rocketing from 9th place straight to 2nd is a massive flex. He locks eyes with the blonde Leon, a fire igniting inside him. Yeah, he can absolutely destroy this guy. Leon tightly clenches his fist as raw, crackling white energy surges around his knuckles. He isn't just hoping for a win anymore, he's claiming it. Later, under a sprawling star-studded sky, the silent house chills in the crisp night air, its windows glowing with a warm, soft light. Our boy sprawls out on his bed, arms casually resting behind his head, and casually asks what kind of brutal grind is on the schedule for tomorrow. Elcid, glowing as a floating blue orb nearby, hovers silently for a second to process the question. He points out that his student's perception training has finally evolved way past basic muscle memory. Since there's literally no room left to push his physical limits right now, Elcid drops a new idea. It's time to dive headfirst into actual combat to put these lethal lessons to the test. The glowing sphere admits that finding real life-or-death fights around here is pretty much impossible, which is exactly why he suggests packing up their gear and ditching this place for good. A shockwave of realization hits the kid. Wait, what? We're leaving. Sweating a bit, he tries to aggressively steer the conversation, begging to just start learning some actual flashy sword techniques first. But Elcid isn't having any of it. He shuts him down completely brutally, telling him to permanently kill off those cute little sword-fighting fantasies. A deafening slam shatters the flashback, yanking us right back to the Academy's grand staircase. 3 preppy upperclassmen barricade his path, their flashy, noble crests catching the sunlight like cheap bling. Our guy glares up at them, instantly clocking their elite blue blood status. One of these snobs is practically frothing at the mouth, screaming his lungs out about how a filthy commoner somehow snatched the number 2 spot. He calls him a cocky little rat, totally convinced that he pulled some shady stunt to fool the instructor. They swear they aren't falling for his cheap magic tricks. Our boy just flashes an exhausted smirk. He thinks it is honestly hilarious how these silver spoon bullies haven't changed one single bit. Even after 300 years, keeping his cool, he drops a reality check if they are so butthurt over the leaderboards. They should go cry to the faculty. Telling them to file a formal complaint just dumps gasoline on their fiery tantrum. They bark right back, shrieking about how a lowly peasant dares to talk back. They demand to know exactly what kind of glitch. He exploited whining that it was super sketchy from day one for a rogue with 0 allegiances to even crack the top 10. They sneer, claiming his mask is finally slipping, and demand to know which shadowy family is backing him. It instantly hits our hero. These clowns aren't processing a single word he says. He figures out they never wanted to talk things out. To them, he is just an irritating weed begging to be yanked out by the roots. Just as things are about to pop off, a smooth voice slices through the tension, telling the boys to chill out and lower their heart rates. A pair of ridiculously polished boots clicks down the marble steps, drawing a massive crowd of nosy onlookers. This silver-haired newcomer casually reminds the mob that completely ignoring their social baggage. They are all stuck grinding at this exact same academy. Whispers ripple through the hallway as he strides up. Enter Elmond, the golden boy's second son of the Bourbon Count family. He spins a wild narrative claiming their upcoming beatdown is just the nobility defending its honor, turning to the peanut gallery to ask if they vibe with that. His lackeys instantly hype him up, glazing him as the ultimate pride of the Bourbon bloodline. Our guy wonders if this absolute tool is the ringleader. He remembers Elmond used to sit comfortably at number 2 in the physical exams, meaning he is probably salty as hell about dropping down to 3rd place. Still, our protagonist is beyond unimpressed. He knows Elmond isn't even in the same universe as the top dog of the academy, Leon. Squinting at Elmond, he spots that classic toxic noble trait, acting all tough and mighty against the underdogs, but totally folding when a real heavy hitter shows up. Elmond slaps on a plastic smile, tossing out a fake apology that their first meet and greet is happening under such messy circumstances. He plays the diplomat, admitting the rookie might feel like he's being targeted, but claims the high society kids can't just let this slide either. Then he drops a shiny little proposal. Keeping a completely deadpan face, our hero tells Elmond to spit it out. He wants to hear the deal first. The sidekicks absolutely lose their minds over this sheer disrespect, but Elmond snaps his fingers to shut them up. He finally cuts the fluff and challenges him to settle the beef in the arena with an actual instructor playing referee. His eyes narrow to icy slits as his brain dissects the offer. On paper, it sounds completely legit, especially with a teacher babysitting the match. But his radar starts screaming. It's a blatant trap. They conveniently forgot to ban the use of aura. Elmond is basically telegraphing that these trust fund babies are going to go all out. If he dares to complain, they'll just gaslight everyone into thinking he's scamming the instructor again. If he completely ducks the fade, they will absolutely dig up dirt to cancel him and nuke his reputation. It's a textbook academy power play, engineered to back him into a corner and force him into a rigged boss fight. For a split second, he considers Leon the untouchable rank 1, wondering if he could pull some strings to bail him out. But the sheer thought of begging a rival makes his stomach churn. To him, crying out for a lifeline is a million times more humiliating than dealing with these rich kids. He clenches his jaw, the harsh grinding noise echoing in the dead silence. Playtime is officially over. Flashing a wicked grin through the heavy tension, he tells them to cut the comedy, locks eyes with Elmond, and fully accepts the bloodbath. He is all in, but only if they bow to his personal terms. He lays out the rules like a mastermind. Number 1, the referee has to be Instructor Helmut, the Academy's legendary field demon. Number 2, he takes on exactly 1 challenger per day. And finally, they have to swear on their lives to never question his skills again. He throws down the gauntlet. If he wins, can they handle the fallout? Elmond stews on it for a split second before finally locking in the deal. With Helmut playing referee, pulling any dirty tricks is completely off the table. Honestly, that plays right into his hands. The kid couldn't care less who is spectating. His only real gripe, he can't absolutely wreck the whole squad all at once. A dark, razor-sharp smirk creeps across Elmond's face. You can practically see him itching to beat the living daylights out of the student. Crashing back in his dorm, the guy busts out laughing. The totally priceless, dumbfounded look on that scumbag's face, absolute gold. Sure, racking up real combat experience this way wasn't exactly on his bingo card. Still, he's totally leaning into the silver lining. Results-wise, this is actually a massive dub. He pivots to Elsid, asking for his hot take on the whole mess. The million-dollar question, can he genuinely body these guys without tapping into any aura? Elsid hesitates, completely on the fence. The floating orb admits he's never actually squared up against an aura user. His single massive eye narrows to a focused slit. After soaking in the dead silence, he finally offers to pull back the curtain on something. Something to make this whole ordeal way smoother. The kid just blinks, totally caught off guard. What kind of wild card is this little orb hiding up his sleeve? With a crisp echoing crack, Elcid snaps his stubby little fingers. He figures this flashy flex is hands down the easiest way to jumpstart the whole process. A glowing neon blue holographic screen literally manifests midair. It boots up with a flurry of retro digital blips and an insanely dramatic victory chime, which honestly is way too extra just for pulling up some basic stat rankings. The glowing display exposes Leon's current reality. He's sitting at level 18, branded with the totally cringe title The Guy Who Still Can't Use Aura. His base stats: a brutally mediocre streak of straight D ranks across strength, stamina, and agility. His aura is still straight up non-existent, but on the flip side, he's totally maxed out the foundational Swordmaster skill tree. His freshly unlocked perks like Roderick's Vision and Martial Exoskeleton are unfortunately still stuck at a clunky D tier. Leon squints at the floating holographic window, demanding to know what the heck he's actually looking at. The little slime doesn't skip a beat. He flat out explains this is a brutal, unfiltered breakdown of Leon's current combat specs. It's a massive reality check, honestly. But hey, the cold hard truth is rarely pretty. Cut back to the training grounds and the verdict is dead obvious. Jeff Heinrich just took a massive L. A dude rocking a gnarly scar across his forehead steps up, barking out a harsh warning to cut the toxic trash talk. Before brushing off the tension with a dry, alright, whatever, he suddenly bursts into this totally unhinged mocking laughter, jabbing a finger right in the kid's direction, aggressively baiting Leon, telling the filthy commoner to know his damn place. Tossing out another sarcastic, alright, then the scarred dude makes his call. He is absolutely not pulling his punches. With a sharp, piercing sound, he rips his wooden practice blade from its sheath. Elcid gracefully drifts down onto Leon's shoulder. The slime casually whispers that maybe, just maybe, he shouldn't one-shot this clown right out of the gate. As the starting bell echoes through the arena, he reminds Leon about the real objective. This is his absolute first time field testing his optical vision in a live firefight. Since this loudmouth basically offered himself up on a silver platter, as Elcid figures they might as well milk this free sparring session for all it's worth. The glowing orb keeps feeding him real-time tactical comms. Right in the thick of the brutal showdown, he points out the painfully obvious. The absolute bozo standing right in front of them desperately needs a wake-up call, taking him down in one hit earlier. That was honestly just Leon showing raw mercy. Leon's gaze suddenly drops in temperature, locking on with a chilling predatory focus as a wildly arrogant smirk pulls at his lips. Hyping himself up, he shouts out an incredibly pumped, "Let's go!" He is completely dialed in. It's time to show this so-called volunteer exactly why mercy is an incredibly rare, expiring luxury. Leon's opponent officially snaps. He violently decides Mr. Nice Guy is dead, boldly declaring that to answer this little stunt, the kid gloves are coming off. However, the tiny, floating neon blue sphere known as Elcid is quietly cooking up, an entirely different, borderline sadistic training montage. He strictly orders Leon to hold back on the insta-kill this time around. Since this is Leon's absolute first test drive running his enhanced vision, in a live-action bloodbath the kid desperately needs the raw data. Elcid ruthlessly points out that since this chump literally volunteered for a beating, he needs to understand the gravity of his mistake, ending the last skirmish with just one single strike. That was pure, unadulterated mercy. A savage, razor-sharp smirk flashes across Leon's face as he locks in the game plan. The showdown erupts into a violent storm of wood slamming against wood. But through Leon's hyper-enhanced optics, the loudmouth moves, like he is completely bogged down in thick molasses. Every single pathetic twitch of his opponent's arms is tracked in flawless slow motion. The dude's shifting legs, the microscopic twitch of his pupils. Reading this guy is basically a cheat code when you can literally see the future of his footwork. Right before the strike lands, Elcid chimes in. He points out that since Leon completely cracked the guy's opening combo, predicting his next attack is an absolute walk in the park. The opponent starts flaring his aura, but slapping some glowing energy onto garbage technique doesn't change the math of this beatdown. Leon keeps downloading every single move flawlessly. The raging dude screams at Leon to brace himself and dodge what's coming, but Leon just stares blankly at the reckless back-to-back swings. With zero chill, he roasts the guy for fighting like a total amateur, bleeding stamina like a leaky faucet, against the exact same opponent who just handed him a massive L. Even with that flashy aura boosting his physical stats, there's a hard cap on what raw power can do. When your core fundamentals are absolutely trash, Leon spots the exact blind spot he's been waiting for, and instantly cashes in. A lightning-fast strike leaves the guy totally gasping for air, but the dude grits his teeth, calling him an idiot for holding back. He tries to act all tough, barking that Leon should have gone for the kill. right then and there, because a baby tap like that won't ever drop him. But despite all that loud talk, his violently shaking legs tell a totally different story. Elcid casually asks Leon how he liked the warm-up. Once the dust settles, Leon admits the little floating orb actually cooked with this idea. If he wants to level up his dynamic vision, an actual moving target is 100% the way to go. The lackey, totally broken and shaking in his boots, screams, "I quit," at the top of his lungs. The ref violently throws our boy's hand into the air, calling the match, while the arena absolutely erupts into deafening cheers. The entire academy is buzzing right now. Students are furiously gossiping about how Leon has been flawlessly wiping the floor with Elmond's entire squad kicking things off with some dude named Jeff. Every single one of them caught a brutal beating and got shipped straight to the nurse's office. Now, it's just the big boss Elmond left. Leon strolls down the hallways with Elcid, absolutely unfazed by the scrubs he just destroyed. He calls them pure cannon fodder, pointing out that their swordplay was all flash and zero substance. He honestly can't believe they were that painfully mid, even with aura buffs. But he's betting today's final boss will actually spice things up. Leon steps into the ring to face off against Elmond, reminding himself to stay frosty even on this massive win streak. Elmond is radiating this suffocating heavy pressure, completely dropping his whole nice guy act. Leon instantly admits Elmond heavily outclasses him in raw strength, thanks to that aura. He flashes back to the status window Elcid pulled up earlier, mentally bracing for the exact brand of danger Elmond is bringing to the table. Elmond Bourbon's status screen is a literal joke, straight up roasting him, as a spoiled brat blinded by a massive inferiority complex. Sitting at level 15, his stats aren't bad, but Leon is laser-focused on his vision swordsmanship skill. Even though it's only at level 1, Leon knows blind spots are what get you killed. He's sweating over the tiny chance that Roderick's vision might actually fail to counter it. Elmond flashes this super villainous smirk, cockily admitting he never thought he'd actually have to step into the ring. Leon just shoots back an icy, super confident glare. "I already knew it would end up like this," he says. Deep down, he's just treating Elmond like the ultimate sparring dummy to prep for his upcoming showdown with the other Leon. The match kicks off, and Leon instantly locks into try-hard tactical mode. He knows playing without aura is a huge debuff if this turns into a raw slugfest. Trying to parry an aura-charged blade with a literal wooden stick is just begging for death, so he completely abandons frontal clashes and decides to ruthlessly kite Elmond instead. But the second the match starts, Elmond explodes with actual terrifying sword energy. Leon's eyes go completely wide, absolutely stunned as savage glowing blue shockwaves tear through the air, forcing him to instantly rewrite his game plan. This insane speed gap completely deletes any chance for Leon to counter. Gritting his teeth, he admits there's a real reason Elmond carries the bloodline of a count, even if the guy's personality is utter trash. Elmond senses the vibe shift, letting out a totally obnoxious cocky scoff. He tells Leon it makes total sense why the other guys got wrecked. He swears he would have absolutely steamrolled him if he was just another big-mouthed peasant. But since Leon actually showed some backbone, Elmond hits him with an offer to join his crew. He demands the kid kiss the ring and become his lackey right on the spot. Elmond keeps rambling, acting like they can just squash the beef and forget their petty drama. If Leon just bends the knee. Yeah, Leon isn't having any of that trash. He calls the guy out for being insanely full of himself, all over some absolutely garbage skill. That insult hits Elmond like a freight train. His face completely twists into this grotesque mask of pure, unfiltered rage. As he screams his lungs out, Leon just keeps that chill, slightly mocking smirk plastered on his face, asking if the truth hurts that much. But honestly, Leon isn't even the real threat here. The floating blue orb is completely losing its mind, livid that a scrub like Elmond dared to call his legendary technique trash. It glares at Leon, flashing this totally psychotic, toothy grin. Its single eye is violently twitching with pure bloodlust. Leon side-eyes his floating mentor, breaking into a cold sweat as it hits him. Elmond just screwed up. Big time. You do not step on the ego of a master orb. This one-eyed floating blue spirit is having a full-blown meltdown, practically boiling over with absolute fury. All because some random weakling had the sheer nerve to disrespect his life's work. Sure, the spirit gets that. The world can flip upside down in a decade. But getting roasted by an amateur punk who hasn't even trained for 300 years, that is crossing a massive line. Leon is standing right there, drenched in sweat, shivering from the insanely dark aura leaking out. The spirit points dead at the arrogant noble and asks our boy if he sees those pearly white teeth. Leon can only stutter out a shaky, terrified yes. The master is in zero mood to let this slide. He drops a harsh truth bomb: a student's job is to completely wipe out any disrespect aimed at their teacher. Then he sets an absolutely brutal win condition. If this clown walks away with a single tooth left in his skull, Leon is the one catching the beatdown. Knocking out one or two isn't going to cut it. The spirit demands a total forced dental removal. Meanwhile, Elmond, the silver-haired snob, is glaring at Leon, getting super suspicious. He's trying to figure out where the heck this sudden, insane burst of energy came from. Leon grips his wooden training sword like his life depends on it. Crack-smash wooden blades violently clash in a totally chaotic high-speed frenzy. Leon goes completely goblin mode, launching an all-out assault. The crowd is absolutely losing their minds because Elmond is literally getting shoved backward by a mere peasant's barrage. Some blonde dude in the bleachers calls it out, though Leon is pushing hard, but the noble hasn't actually lost his footing yet. Internally, Leon is panicking. He's pushing his body way past the red line without any aura to back him up. It hits him hard. This is spiraling into a nasty, agonizing battle of attrition. One he straight up might not survive. Elmond is visibly ticked off by the kid's stubbornness. He snarls at Leon to drop this pathetic final stand, calling it completely undignified, and tells him to just eat dirt already. Leon claps right back, telling the rich boy to check his own bruised ego before spitting garbage. Realizing he's got to cheat the stat gap, Leon flips the switch. He activates Roderick's vision. It's an ultra-rare trick that basically lets him read his opponent's moves before they even happen. He knows if he can just catch the rhythm of the fight a fraction of a second faster, he can completely flip the script on this raw power difference, dialing in his total focus. Leon feels his eyesight rip wide open, sharpening like a razor. Everything around him grinds to an absolute crawl, literally making the whole arena feel like they are fighting underwater. Every single muscle twitch, every tiny shift in stance, it's like a glowing neon sign. The insane precision is straight up terrifying. A huge triumphant smirk flashes across Leon's face. Holy crap, the technique actually worked. He instantly spots the golden opening. He slices right through the snob's guard with a burst of speed that shouldn't even be possible for someone with zero magic. Pure shock completely paralyzes Elmond. His brain is desperately short-circuiting, trying to figure out how a magicless loser is dragging him through the mud like this. Backed into a corner, his ego snaps. He decides to pull out the big guns, arcane swordsmanship, against a peasant. Leon braces himself, his brain running complex calculations on what lethal strike is coming next. He preps for a brutal forward thrust, or a massive overhead slash. He even bets on the fact that Elmond might just chuck his freaking sword straight across the arena in a total panic. Not wasting a single microsecond, Leon locks onto the incoming strike. He reads the muscle memory, it's a thrust, and he instantly shifts his weight to dodge, totally confident he's timed it perfectly. But suddenly his eyes snap wide open. His heart drops. That first twitch, it was a complete and total fake-out. The initial thrust was just bait, designed to drag him right into a dead zone. The air pressure violently shifts as Elmond pivots, exposing the brutal truth behind the trap he set for the overeager freshman. Elmond finally pulls his absolute trump card. The Bourbon family's secret sword art, Crescent Thrust. It is an aggressively predatory move, tailor-made to hunt down anyone foolish enough to try and dodge. Our guy realizes, his stomach completely dropping, that taking a direct hit to the chest is absolutely unavoidable. And even if he manages to twist away from the blade, the sheer force would shatter his ribs, instantly knocking him out of the fight. Even though his eyes track the exact path of the strike, his body is just way too sluggish to bail out. He starts spiraling into thoughts of total defeat, until his pure survival instincts completely hijack his brain. Screaming at his limbs to just move, raw static crackles through the air as Leon brutally forces his body way past its absolute limits. Elmond lets out a totally baffled yell. Wait, what? The entire momentum of the duel aggressively flips, and in a split second, the sickening crunch of splintering wood and heavy panting echoes across the arena as Leon manages to land an absolute nuke of a strike. The snobby noble goes flying backward, his cool guy persona utterly completely shattered as he realizes his top-tier move just completely flopped against a dude he thought was a total loser. Elmond frantically clutches his wrecked left arm, while the crowd violently whispers about this massive plot twist. He desperately tries to cope, convincing himself that the mental damage of watching his family's sacred sword arts fail is way worse than the actual physical injury. He plots to use his good arm to launch a savage frontal assault, banking on the fact that Leon's wooden sword is practically crumbling after tanking all those aura-infused hits. He screams that he's been playing Leon like a fiddle this whole time, frantically trying to glue his fragile ego back together. A genuinely nauseating crack violently echoes across the training grounds. Elmond is instantly silenced. As Leon's weapon connects perfectly with his face, the raw kinetic energy violently snaps the noble's head backward. A single tooth practically launches into orbit, leaving a nasty trail of spit before smacking onto the cold stone floor. That flashy aura defense Elmond kept flexing. It did absolutely zilch to block the savage blunt force of Leon's desperate heavy strike. He stands there like an absolute boss while Elmond is just wrecked on the floor looking like he literally crashed into a brick wall. The little blue spirit is completely hyping him up, literally dying of laughter over how the stuck-up noble got completely packed up by a basic scrub move. Leon's brain is already jumping to the future, praying that the magical oath they swore during the duel will keep Elmond from acting up at the academy. He honestly wonders if handing out one severe beatdown is enough to actually fix this dude's trash personality, but for now he'll just gladly hold that victory. Dropping some crazy lore, the spirit points out that Leon is already unlocking the secrets of acceleration and leveling up way faster than anyone thought possible. Leon just gives him this completely clueless stare, repeating the word acceleration like he literally has zero idea what he just pulled off. Meanwhile, this absolutely jacked instructor in the back is literally counting the teeth Leon managed to knock out. 1, 2, 3. The tally keeps going. Leon definitely understood the assignment, and this noble is definitely going to need an insanely expensive dentist. Leon quizzes his floating blue sidekick about this whole acceleration thing. He is wondering if it is the exact same cheat code he used to dodge Elmond's overly flashy arcane sword moves. It is a classic case of your brain going way faster than your legs, especially when things get incredibly dicey. He just assumes his raw reflexes basically outran his actual thoughts, having nothing to do with his real physical stats. If that's true, he is left totally scratching his head over how top-tier movement mechanics even work. The spirit straight up asks him how he thinks the pros move so fast. Leon guesses. It is just because they have maxed out their aura mastery. And technically, he isn't entirely wrong. Without aura, the human body would basically twist into a literal meat pretzel under that kind of insane G-force. Normally, acceleration is a straight-up endgame move for aura users, but Leon literally pulled it off using absolutely nothing but pure thigh power. It was an incredibly sloppy and janky execution, but the spirit has to admit, it is insanely impressive that Leon's sheer willpower basically bullied his body into breaking way past its natural limits. Our main guy is super skeptical since he feels completely fine, but the spirit hits him with a brutal reality check. If he had engaged his entire body instead of just his legs, his internal organs would have been twisted up like a cheap balloon animal, instantly making him realize he barely dodged a seriously gruesome game over. Leon breaks into a cold sweat. The spirit casually drops a cryptic warning. The brutal backlash is finally here, telling him to brace himself for what comes next. But before our boy can even choke out a "wait what?", a massive shockwave of pure scorching fire rips through his veins, tearing a gut-wrenching scream right out of his throat. The muscle fatigue hits like an absolute freight train, and it brought friends. Our MC instantly crumbles to the dirt, reduced to a screaming, regret-filled mess. The spirit brutally reminds him to count his blessings. He should be thrilled he's only twitching from hellish cramps, instead of literally exploding. He is strictly banned from popping acceleration ever again until he finally unlocks his aura, or next time it's an instant game over. Gritting his teeth through the blinding agony, Leon chokes out an agreement. He knows exactly how close he just came to meeting. Smash cut back to the academy, where the rumor mill is completely losing its mind. Students are whispering wild conspiracy theories. Did some elite family snatch him up and pump him full of overpowered elixirs? Or wait, is he actually a top-secret weapon forged by the palace? One even floats the theory that he picked up arcane swordplay from some random hermit. Leon and his floating blue sidekick tune into this absolute garbage. Our guy figures the snobby royals he wrecked are just spreading fake news to save face. I mean, getting totally clapped by a nobody definitely bruised their fragile little egos. If they actually had any self-respect, they wouldn't have jumped him in the first place, a pretty solid point the spirit totally agrees with. The whole vibe shifts the second Chloe crashes the scene. Leon looks genuinely shook to see her. He points out she's supposed to be suffering through alchemy class right now, wondering if she actually ditched school just to track him down. Chloe claps right back, calling him a total idiot since the professor actually called in sick. She definitely isn't skipping class for his sake, obviously. But her voice softens as she takes in how much Leon has changed lately. He's been ghosting her and throwing hands with the elites, for literally no reason. She brings up how insanely stressed out she and Leon had been. It's a messy mix of feelings. But our guy is way too caught up, realizing how damn long it's been since they just talked. Like normal human beings. The massive wall that built up between them finally clicks in his head. Lost in his own mind, he flashes back to the raw jealousy he felt toward the Leon who used to stand right next to her. He was absolutely drowning in a toxic inferiority complex, convinced he was completely useless. He used to curse the universe for spitting on his hard work, tearing himself apart over every single flop. But then a voice reached out in the dark, tossing him a lifeline to prove his worth. In that split second, the whole game changed. Snapping back to reality, Chloe drops that the entire campus is buzzing over his insane winning streak. The hottest rumor, that he dug up some cheat code magic sword to fast-track his way to the top. Leon's face immediately drops as the brutal reality of his journey crushes down on him. Out of nowhere, he completely breaks down. Chloe starts low-key panicking, asking why he's bawling his eyes out over some dumb school gossip, and guessing that the magic sword theory must be wildly off base. Choking back, sobs Leon. Stammers out that his power isn't some shiny weapon. His mind drifts to Elsid, the spirit, who literally dragged him out of a bottomless pit of depression, even with that blunt, zero-filter personality. Meanwhile, Elsid is completely zoning out, just chilling and munching on a cookie while a massive level-up bar flashes right above Leon's head. Our boy vows to grind until he's a hero truly worthy of the Holy Sword, locked in and determined to shatter every single expectation Elsid has set for him. He clenches his fist, burning with fresh resolve. Elsid, on the flip side, is totally clueless. The spirit is shook that the kid actually leveled up and got stronger just from having a heart-to-heart with a girl. Typical Elsid, he just chalks up the win to his own absolute perfection. I mean, the guy has been flawless since day one. He figures the why doesn't even matter as long as the stats keep going up. Leon is finally looking like a side project actually worth investing in. While Leon just stands there looking hardcore and intense, Chloe stares at him blankly, wondering why her bestie is suddenly acting like the main character of a soap opera. Sprawled out on his bed under the dead silent night sky, the young warrior processes his massive internal glow-up, fully realizing he's not the same kid anymore. The spirit hovers close, pointing out he's looking way sharper now. He notices the kid's rookie jitters are completely gone, swapped out for a dead serious focus that lets him stare down the future without flinching. It's an absolute night and day transformation. The shaking, terrified rookie is dead and gone, replaced by a fighter who's finally locked into the game. The spirit keeps running his analysis, sizing the kid up against the original Leon. Even though they share a few traits, he spots one glaring difference. One is aiming for the absolute peak, while the other is just mindlessly marching forward. Elsid nudges him to actually talk to the other Leon sometimes, since literally no one else in his class is real enough to even vibe with him. Our guy mumbles some half-baked promise to try, but later that night he tosses and turns, whispering a silent "I'm sorry" to Chloe in the dark. Basically, he's leaving that friend request on red before the sun even comes up. Guilt hits him like a truck as he finally admits to himself that he just can't give Chloe what she wants. This upcoming battle is literally the end of the line for him. His thoughts drift back to the other Leon standing completely alone on a balcony under a razor-sharp crescent moon. Giving off total tortured rival energy, the air is thick with that heavy, unspoken tension, the kind that always drops right before a massive plot twist. It is the ultimate fate won't let us be bros vibe. And tonight, it is hitting ridiculously hard. The grind kicks off with a literal bang as a wooden blade completely shatters against a practice dummy. Our guy gasps for air quickly, realizing this flimsy training gear is way too weak to handle the raw, crushing output of his technique. It is an absolute powerhouse of a move, way too intense for basic wood to survive. He mentally checks himself, remembering he needs to play it safe, though real steel can take a lot more punishment. He only needs to land this strike once. After all, a trump card is completely useless unless you keep it buried until the exact right second. One-shotting his opponent is the ultimate endgame here. Pure strategy is the only way to survive a prodigy like Leon, since spamming the same attack twice guarantees a brutal counter. Our guy plans to get totally inside Leon's head and outplay his broken skill set to snatch that win. Meanwhile, Elsid, a glowing blue floating spirit, absolutely roasts him over Leon's terrifyingly stacked status window. The dude's stats are actually insane, level 25. A massive aura pool and intermediate sword energy. Leon is straight up outclassing most of the instructors already, and he hasn't even hit his coming-of-age ceremony yet. Nearby, some beefy dude munching on a sandwich totally zones out, wondering if someone just called his name, completely clueless that Leon has reached a tier most knights never sniff until they are well into their 30s. Sizing up their stats, our boy admits he might be slower and physically weaker, but his stamina is definitely superior. He absolutely refuses to accept that Leon is some unbeatable god. Elsid hypes up this crazy underdog mentality, promising to drop every single cheat code he needs to get ready for the brawl. But a dark, nagging doubt creeps in, and the main character asks Elsid about a massive what if. He is actually picturing himself losing, which completely kills the epic training montage vibe. The question just hangs heavily in the air. What happens if he actually loses to Leon? Elsid flat out refuses to answer, reminding him that this is a trial. The spirit breaks it down. The nightmares he is going to have to survive later will be infinitely more brutal than any lucky break he gets handed. The warrior groans that this is way too hardcore for a starter trial. But Elsid does not budge an inch as our guy collapses to the dirt, totally drained. This showdown is the absolute turning point of his entire life. If he secures the win, Elsid promises to spill everything. He swears the truth is going to blow his mind once he finally hears it. As the sun dips on his grind session, the camera cuts to a dark, pouring night inside a ridiculously lavish room. A dude rocking a thick mustache, Don Gilberto, scans through a sketchy report. He admits the outcome completely shattered his expectations, because he never believed our guy could actually drop a top-tier fighter like Elmond. It looks like the ultimate underdog is finally making massive waves in high society, and Gilberto is literally forced to respect the hustle. Leon chills by the window while Gilberto deeply overthinks the last 3 years of their lives. Crushing the second son of a Count's family without even tapping into an aura, that is an aggressively iconic flex. You just cannot sleep on this warrior's potential anymore. Leon coldly announces that he is finally ready, his eyes locked in with this freezing, dead-set glare. Pivoting toward Gilberto, he demands one single favor. The plot is thickening way faster than a cheap bowl of Academy oatmeal. Leon's inner monologue is just oozing massive main character energy right now as he vows to snatch the victory and force our guy to serve as his personal knight. Outside, jagged lightning tears through the sky, thunder violently crashing down, while our boy marches down the freezing stone halls of the Academy. Elsid jokes that the heavens themselves are hyping up this legendary brawl, with the Holy Sword's chosen hero throwing his entire future on the line, while even the storm clouds rage in pure anticipation. This is straight-up legendary framing for a rainy deathmatch. The warrior steps into the arena where a battle-scarred instructor smirks, pointing out he made it just in the nick of time. It is suspiciously dead quiet in there because Leon specifically demanded a private match to lock in his focus. Unlike Elmond, who just wanted a cheap public humiliation, Leon is out here hunting for a pure, unfiltered duel. The instructor chuckles darkly, dropping the hint that there is exactly one secret VIP watching from the shadows. Elsid drops an absolute nuke, casually guessing that it is probably Chloe. Our guy's jaw literally hits the floor. Having your massive crush watch you get absolutely clapped is literal nightmare fuel. Elsid breaks down the messy behind-the-scenes drama. Leon thinks our boy is simping for Chloe, and he fully plans to use this brutal victory to steal her attention. History is stacked with kings and lackeys going to war over women, and Leon is dead set on turning our warrior into his personal lapdog. The blonde rival flat out declares that a victory will force the young warrior into becoming his vassal, grinding his teeth in a blinding rage. Our guy growls Leon's name. The stakes just flipped from professional to violently personal in a heartbeat. Nothing screams high-stakes friendship, quite like a forced servitude contract. This upcoming one-on-one showdown with Leon carries a massive price tag. If he blows this duel, our protagonist is officially his property. It is the ultimate excuse for Chloe to get sidelined as a spectator, while Leon aggressively draws a corporate-style boundary between the ruler and the ruled. This whole setup is classic Leon, toxic, hyper-calculated, and completely stripping away any care for how Chloe or our boy feel about being played like cheap chess pieces. Knowing Leon is some top-tier noble is one thing, but watching him actually pull the puppet strings hits a whole new level of ick. He is weaponizing dirty political tactics to twist relationships and emotions like they are just disposable tools. Refusing to treat literally anyone as an equal, it is a hardcore elitist flex that honestly makes you want to throw up. Our warrior isn't just low-key annoyed. He is genuinely disgusted by the sheer audacity. When asked if he is mad, he confirms it with a dark, heavy nod. Leon desperately needs a violent reality check, and our boy is more than ready to deliver that beatdown. Up close and personal. Stepping into the arena, the tension is so suffocating you could slice it with a butter knife. Leon smirks and claims the main character is running late, but the comeback is cold and simple. Leon just showed up way too early. The watcher is nowhere to be found, stashed away in some hidden VIP corner, because Leon genuinely thinks getting distracted would be a pathetic excuse for taking a loss. The whole vibe is ridiculously dramatic, right up until Leon randomly decides to pop a pill. He totally kills the momentum for a split second, yanks out a tiny glass vial, and downs something with a casual flick of his wrist. Naturally, our guy demands to know what he just swallowed. Turns out it is an aura-suppressing drug, purely because Leon is terrified his raw power might accidentally leak out and turn this entire arena into a literal disaster zone. Talk about an insane flex. He suddenly drops the cocky attitude and goes dead serious, completely chilling the atmosphere. Gripping his hilt, the warrior realizes he needs to match that psychotic focus or he is absolute toast. Then with a savage battle cry that shreds the silence, the death match finally pops off. Steel smashes into steel with a deafening crunch that sends sparks exploding everywhere. That first impact is a brutal wake-up call. The protagonist instantly realizes his raw strength isn't anywhere close to where he thought it was. Tanking these hits head-on is a straight-up death sentence. At this rate, he won't even survive for 30 seconds. He is forced to grit his teeth and scramble on defense as Leon's blade violently shreds the air, shoving him backward with a suffocating pressure that feels less like a sparring session and more like a desperate fight to breathe. That weapon isn't just a sword. It feels like a wicked whip slashing with a blistering speed that puts everyone else to shame. Even with Roderick's vision fully locked in, Leon's movements are just a glitchy blur compared to literally any other opponent. It is a massive I am in danger moment. The main character desperately tries to force his heart rate down, praying his past experience. Clashing with Leon will help his brain fill in the blanks of that shifting shadow. He is fighting for his life to keep pace, sweating over whether this is the true, terrifying gap in their power. From the sidelines, the crowd is absolutely losing their minds watching two academy kids throw down like battle-scarred veterans. The instructor points out that even with zero aura, their raw combat instincts are completely off the charts. Leon is a straight-up monster, flexing a power spike that shouldn't even be mathematically possible. Even the loyal butler is shell-shocked. He knew his boss was a prodigy, but he never pictured Leon leveling up this insanely fast. Suddenly, Leon drops a wicked feint, a move so buttery smooth it almost ends the entire fight right then and there. But hold up, there is a tiny glimmer of hope. The warrior manages to read that blur through the absolute chaos, catching the swing at the very last millisecond. A massive shockwave rattles his bones as he blocks the strike, but something feels totally off. He is left racking his brain, trying to figure out why the follow-up attacks don't pack the same bone-crushing punch as that initial explosive strike. He gasps for air, his armor tanking the brutal abuse, as sparks rain down on the stone floor, desperately trying to decode the twisted logic behind Leon's shifting rhythm. The lightbulb moment finally hits when both of them start aggressively panting for breath. Leon wasn't trying to end this with one flashy, overpowered ultimate attack. From the jump, he forces this clash into a brutal test of stamina. It's a total war of attrition, and that cocky little smirk plastered on Leon's face. Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing. The second our boy clocks the strategy, Leon shoots him a look that basically screams, "Took you long enough to figure it out, huh?" The trap is set, and it's going to be one long, agonizingly grueling afternoon for everyone in this room. Leon is huffing like he just sprinted a full marathon strapped in heavy plate armor. He's pulling in ragged, choppy breaths as the violence ramps up. Forget flashy, lightning-fast combos, that is absolutely not the play here. The move is to glue yourself to the enemy, bleed their stamina dry, and slowly flip the script. It's a soul-crushing, relentless grind. Zero room for slip-ups using a strategy as brain-dead simple as plain toast. Our guy can literally taste Leon's desperate burning hunger to snatch this win, realizing the only way out is to completely shatter this kid's mental state first. Fail to do that, and Leon will just keep coming back like a zombie. Then, the air in the room drops. Leon decides he is completely done playing nice. A piercing screech violently rips through the training hall as he pops lightning step. His entire body blurs into a hyper-speed, phantom-like streak across the floor. Pure shock washes over the dark-haired lion. He instantly recognizes this insane move. It's a restricted arcane technique, locked down by the Imperial family. This nasty little trick forcefully hacks your raw power muscle fibers and even blood flow, pushing a normal human body way past its biological limits. Sure, it's a sloppy, incomplete version since he isn't packing any aura, but Leon is betting the house that even 50% power will be enough to bury this dude. A gut-wrenching grunt rips out from his opponent as he desperately scrambles to match this crazy sudden spike in aggression. He realizes he has to push his kinetic vision into absolute overdrive just to track the guy's shadow. But even sweating bullets, his counterswing feels pathetically weak, doing absolutely zero to kill Leon's momentum as the blonde blur violently closes the gap. Whoosh! Leon's blade slices right through dead air. His brain totally short-circuits, frantically wondering how the hell that strike was just ghosted. Then it hits him. That was the raw, terrifying speed of lightning step in action. Fresh crimson blood splatters across the cold stone floor, dripping from a nasty new gash on the dark-haired lion's arm. He just stares, totally mind-blown. Is this punk really pulling off these god-tier stunts without burning a single drop of aura? The cold hard fact that there's zero aura involved sends literal chills down his spine. Out of nowhere, a tiny floating one-eyed blue slime just pops up shrieking about how absolutely terrifying that clash was. The warrior gives the slime a deadpan look like, "Are you freaking kidding me right now?" He forces himself to remember the human body is secretly packing way more explosive speed and raw power than basic logic tells you. While crazy skills like lightning step max out your agility, others completely buff your stamina or straight up brute strength. Trying to judge this wild world using normal standards. Yeah, that's a one-way ticket to the grave. Bam. Leon lunges in for round 2. His long hair whips wildly as he brings his blade crashing down in another bone-crushing heavy strike. Leon screams his lungs out aggressively, demanding to know if this guy seriously dares to zone out on him, or if he's really just that cocky. Our boy just scoffs, tossing the disrespect right back as their heavy steel collides. A massive shockwave blasts showers of golden sparks everywhere. Leon taunts him, asking if he's finally busting out arcane swordsmanship, but internally, our guy is absolutely screaming. Relaxed. Hell no. He is redlining at his absolute breaking point, viciously cursing that stupid slime for totally nuking his flow state. He mentally snaps at himself to drop the logical thinking, but then a chilling realization punches him in the gut. Wait, no. The slime didn't actually break his focus at all. His boot aggressively skids across the floor and he suddenly notices he's only got 5, maybe 6 steps left, before getting shoved completely out of bounds. It's a seriously tough pill to swallow, especially since he was the one who ruthlessly pushed Leon into a corner in the first place. Off to the side, an older dude rocking a thick mustache is intensely watching, instantly sensing the heavy shift in the room's vibe. He knows damn well there shouldn't be any valid counterplay against Lightning Step at Leon's current tier. Our guy mentally scrambles through his old game plan. He thought his only shot at surviving this was to just tank the avalanche of attacks. He was desperately praying to guard his tiny stamina lead, just waiting for Leon to completely gas out from spamming Lightning Step. The only other card left to play, Acceleration. A highly volatile technique he definitely cannot fully control yet. Letting out a deep, heavy sigh, he mutters that this entire situation isn't even funny anymore. Leon physically flinches at the sudden dark shift. In our boy's entire aura, out of options, the warrior decides there's only one thing left to trust: sheer, terrifying brute force. The kind of raw, destructive power he forged through literal hell and endless bone-breaking grind. For the very first time in this clash, Leon feels absolutely massive, standing there like an unbreakable, suffocating wall of pure talent. Our guy just smirks, finally recognizing the monster Leon truly is hiding inside. But he is dead set on making this golden boy bend the knee, no matter how ugly this gets. Leon's muscles are literally vibrating from the insane strain, coiling up for another blinding burst of speed. The older spectator watching puts it all together, spamming lightning steps back to back with zero aura backing him up. That should have shattered the kid, pushing him way past his physical breaking point. Meanwhile, that little blue spirit is just whistling some totally chill tune, completely unbothered by these life or death stakes. Leon violently grinds his teeth, hyping himself up. If he is truly meant to be the hero, this agony means absolutely nothing. He locks onto his opponent, eyes blazing with an insane, unbreakable resolve, but our dark-haired lead calls him out straight up, telling Leon that he is completely blind to the one massive difference between them. While Leon was handed god-tier talent at birth, our guy has spent every single damn day swinging his blade until his palms were shredded and bleeding. A brutal childhood flashback hits. There is little Leon standing tall and proud while our guy was left slumped in the dirt. That cuts to a raw visual of the warrior furiously smashing a wooden training post in the dead center of a raging storm. Snapping back to the present, their weapons violently collide with an ear-splitting boom. The sheer raw impact of the clash is way too much for basic practice gear. Jagged shrapnel goes flying as the blondie's blade finally caves, snapping completely under the crushing weight of a much heavier will. The shattered tip clatters and bounces across the cold stone floor. Leon just stares dead-eyed at the busted hilt left in his grip, totally breathless, gasping out, "How the hell did this happen?" Sid chimes in saying that insane bone-breaking grind has finally paid off, and our guy just gives a quiet nod. He knows perfectly well this whole match flipped because of a tiny detail he stole from Elmont's crescent lunge. It is a super weird offbeat technique built specifically to wreck the opponent's upper body rhythm. But way more importantly, he thinks back to the sheer psychotic volume of his own training. The actual mountain of swords each of them has shattered over the years is miles apart. That right there is a massive experience gap that raw, flashy talent just cannot magically fix. Our guy breaks it down for him. Yeah, Leon's crazy talent lets his body push way past normal limits, but he still cannot touch someone who intimately understands the absolute breaking point of the weapon itself. He casually admits that if they had been swinging live steel out there, the whole outcome might have ended up completely differently. The golden boy snaps his head up in pure shock. Right before our lead flashes this massive cocky grin, fully claiming his undisputed win, the older guy walks over, slow clapping, making it completely official. The dark-haired challenger has officially dethroned Leon. The heavy atmosphere finally clears up, and that little blue spirit starts questioning the actual stakes of this insane bet. It hits him. If our guy had actually lost this, he would be permanently stuck serving as lead. So what exactly did the MC ask for by winning? Our guy just stares off into space, letting out a totally clueless hum. Like the answer is just completely wiped from his memory right now. Now, the golden boy Leon is not just some pretty face. Just like you, my gorgeous subscribers right now, he is ready to hand over the moon and the stars just to keep his family's elite reputation from being dragged through the mud. He starts throwing out desperate offers like crazy. Arcane sword arts, top-tier aura training, or even the secrets to brewing ultra-rare elixirs. But our lead just hits him with this completely exhausted, sweat-drenched smile. Look, since this whole duel was a locked-in deal and Leon officially took the L, he just needs to hold that loss. The MC straight up admits there is absolutely nothing he needs from him right now. Leon is completely glitching out. He has clearly never been told no in his life, stubbornly insisting that a deal is a deal. He practically demands to know what the dark-haired victor wants, but our guy just smoothly brushes him off, saying he will cash it in later. Leon is completely tripped up by the delay, but the real truth, there is not a single thought behind the MC's eyes right now, flashing a total troll smirk. He promises to hunt Leon down the absolute second. A genius idea hits him casually, asking if they are cool with that. Leon gives a quiet, almost super relieved nod. But then bam, a sharp burning spike of pain hits our guy, reminding him he is definitely not made of titanium. He barely survived that brutal duel without busting out his acceleration skill, but going toe-to-toe with an absolute freak of nature like Leon absolutely wrecked his physical state. He definitely pushed his internal engine way past the red line. Thank God. The blonde girl steps up to the plate, flexing some crazy high-tier healing magic. She summons this gorgeous radiant light, chanting a spell to finally give these battered fighters some rest. Glowing bright blue orbs start rapidly swirling around her palms, fully ready to patch up all that nasty battle damage. The magic hits him like an ice-cold surge of pure energy on a blistering summer day, instantly stripping away all the heaviness in his bones. He hypes up the rank 4 healing magic like a hardcore recovery connoisseur. He tosses a quick shout-out to Chloe for watching his back, but she is totally not having it. Hot tears blur her vision as she screams that she cannot wrap her head around you absolute idiots. She is fuming over the defeat, but what really gets her is just how massive Leon's glow-up has been. Scrubbing the tears from her face, she drops a massive truth bomb. Our guy is totally planning to ditch the academy. He blinks in shock that she caught on to his exit strategy, but come on, she reads him like an open book. She just lets out a heavy sigh, roasting him for being such an incredibly predictable idiot. Our warrior genuinely braced himself for her to physically tackle him to stop his escape. Chloe snaps back that he literally never listens to a word she says anyway, and she has binge-watched this exact scenario before. The MC has this wild habit of charging straight at barriers everyone swears are completely unbreakable, and somehow clutching the absolute win. It definitely dragged out a bit longer this time, but he pulled off the impossible again. He immediately gets defensive about his speed, swearing he actually speedran a crazy difficult mission. Chloe is definitely not buying his excuses bluntly, telling him he was late, way too late. After some lighthearted bickering and a few genuine laughs, she declares the healing session officially over. Her next crazy demand: go punch some sense right into Leon. She bets the royal brat is spiraling in absolute shock after tanking that massive loss. And a solid smack from literally the only guy he respects might be the exact wake-up call he desperately needs right now. She knows turning this brutal defeat into raw motivation is the only way Leon is ever going to level up. She officially dumps the whole blonde swordsman babysitting gig straight into his lap. As our guy starts striding away, his shadow melting into the dark stone corridor, Chloe shouts his name one last time. She demands to know his epic master plan for surviving outside the academy walls. He refuses to give her the satisfaction of dropping spoilers, merely throwing a lazy peace sign over his shoulder, keeping his next moves totally under wraps for now. Chloe watches his retreating back, her face trapped somewhere between gnawing anxiety and quiet hope, as she nervously tangles her fingers together. That hovering blue spirit rocking a single giant eye and tiny golden horns floats right next to our hero's shoulder. It finds it absolutely hilarious that a hardcore atheist mage is literally out here praying for someone else. The MC just shrugs it off, figuring she's just a genuinely soft-hearted person deep down. The spirit casually checks if he's wrapped up all his loose ends. He seals the deal with a subtle nod. His mind drifts back to the dark days, openly admitting he used to be ridiculously desperate to just be someone special. He threw himself into absolute hell-grinding non-stop just to keep up with the two insane prodigies orbiting his life. But raw talent and elite status are brutal brick walls to smash through, and he constantly felt like a massive fraud who was barely scraping by. Then the universe flipped the script, the exact second Elcid crashed into his reality. Linking up with this spirit finally let our boy step out from his rival's crushing shadows and totally nuke that toxic inferiority complex holding him back. Now he's dead set on snagging the hero title. He smirks, daring the spirit to name a single person who's more main character material than him right now. Elcid absolutely loses it, cackling out loud at his shameless clout-chasing energy. Our guy literally zero cares if he sounds incredibly shallow. He raises an eyebrow, wondering if the spirit is cringing at his vanity. But Elcid is actually totally vibing with this exact mind. There is absolutely zero shame in chasing the bag, securing the fame, and soaking up all the glory. Raw ambition is the ultimate cheat code. And our protagonist is strictly playing for keeps. Elcid suddenly gets deep and philosophical, dropping the truth that wild dreams and hunger are exactly what fuel humanity's grind as long as you don't turn totally toxic in the process. That relentless hustle is exactly why the spirit locked onto him in the first place. But then the ultimate plot twist drops. Our boy was never actually the chosen one. That shiny hero title totally belonged to Leon. The spirit casually leaks Leon's ridiculously extra pureblood full name. Leon Callum Gladys von Clyde. He's the golden child of the Clyde imperial bloodline, the literal weapon fated to cleanse a rotten, corrupt empire. Turns out this guy was heavily locked into the destined hero role a staggering 150 years ago. The MC suddenly realizes that on paper, Leon is the absolute perfect, overpowered main character. He demands to know if his main character status is officially revoked after that massive lore drop. He instantly flashes back to Elcid, claiming this whole brutal fight was just a test. Elcid just smirks, hyping him up for completely crushing it. After all, there's literally zero rules stating a hero has to be handpicked by some dusty ancient prophecy. Profecía: los verdaderos héroes son aquellos que forjan su propio futuro con pura fuerza de voluntad. Elcid cree que el otro león está equivocado sobre cómo funciona el destino. Cuando le preguntan si se siente culpable por haberle arrebatado al león su oportunidad, el prota simplemente se ríe. ¿Por qué habría de sentirse mal por un chico que nació con una cuchara de oro en la boca, o en cuna de oro como diría Diomedes Díaz? Eso no va a pasar. Nuestro protagonista considera que es culpa del león por perder contra alguien que empezó sin nada. A pesar de que el príncipe lo tenía todo, no va a perder el sueño por eso. Además, el alma del gran héroe Roderick y la espada sagrada, el Cid lo eligieron a él, así que simplemente estará a la altura de esas enormes expectativas. Al día siguiente el prota oficialmente pone fin a su vida escolar. Su instructor está genuinamente triste de verlo partir, pero en lugar de un certificado de graduación le entrega una carta de recomendación para trabajo de aventurero. El duelo entre el prota y el grupo de Elmo en realidad tuvo un efecto positivo, motivando tanto a plebeyos como a nobles a entrenar más duro. Un nuevo viento de cambio sopla a través de la academia, pero el prota ya está mirando hacia la salida. De pie en una colina cubierta de hierba con vista a las torres de la academia, el prota se da cuenta de que no tiene ninguna razón para regresar a ese lugar. Lleva su mochila puesta y la mirada fija en el horizonte. El Cid está lleno de emoción, instándolo a ponerse en marcha. Su destino es la ciudad libre de Cartagena, el centro definitivo donde los aventureros se reúnen para hacerse un nombre. Con un puño alzado hacia el cielo y un espíritu travieso a su lado, el prota deja atrás su antigua vida para ir en busca de los alucinógenos juegos de azar y mujerzuelas. Mentira, así no es. Se fue en busca de riquezas, grandeza y honores que se prometió a sí mismo. Un ojo ámbar y penetrante examina el dosel desde lo alto, mientras un águila se desliza sobre la densa vegetación. Abajo la paz del bosque se ve interrumpida violentamente. León irrumpe entre el follaje con un esfuerzo desesperado que le desgarra los pulmones. Tropezando hacia la luz del sol, jadea por aire con los pulmones ardiendo. Mientras celebra su escape, por fin, es libre de ese bosque enfermizo. Entrecerrando los ojos contra el sol, León distingue la silueta lejana de Cartagena, la perspectiva de una cama. De verdad, después de 15 días fuera de la academia, es lo único que lo mantiene en pie. El Cid no le permite disfrutar del momento, y cuestiona su odio por el bosque. El espíritu sugiere que León debería estar agradecido de que el lugar haya servido como campo de pruebas. León responde con sarcasmo diciendo que está tan agradecido que podría llorar. Ahora, que por fin se están yendo, recuerda cuando hace medio mes, él y Elsie entraron por primera vez al bosque. Era su primera vez acampando en la naturaleza, y fue un desastre total. Los goblins asaltaban su campamento constantemente. Al ver su dificultad, Elsie finalmente le permitió cambiar su espada de entrenamiento, de madera, por la auténtica espada sagrada. León se había preparado antes de salir de la academia. Pero esos 15 días en la tierra fueron algo completamente distinto. León no solo sobrevivió, dominó el peso de la espada sagrada. Elcid señala que, aunque el entrenamiento tomó una semana más de lo esperado, los resultados son absolutamente icónicos. Los goblins que antes eran un problema ahora son solo práctica de tiro. León logró abatir a 7 de ellos. En apenas 10 segundos. Elcid se apresura a atribuirse el mérito, recordándole que ese elegante juego de pies fue idea suya. León siente la oleada de poder en su puño, dándose cuenta de que es una persona completamente distinta al chico que entró en el bosque. Está listo para empezar a cazar monstruos de inmediato, pero Elcid le dice que se calme. Lo llama un cuenco en formación. Cazar monstruos sirve para llenar el cuenco, pero el recipiente en sí aún no está terminado. Elcid le explica que si inviertes esfuerzo en un cuenco incompleto, todo se filtra y se desperdicia. León toma el consejo en serio, manteniendo su ego bajo control mientras se acercan a las enormes murallas de piedra de la ciudad. Pasar por las puertas es muy fácil, porque el público realmente confía en las identificaciones de los estudiantes de la academia. León entra en las calles, pero el ambiente se siente extraño de inmediato. El Cid llama al lugar una aldea de maleantes, lo que toma a León por sorpresa. El espíritu azul explica que ciudades como esta han existido. For 3 centuries, this sprawling mid-sized dump has been breeding. Leon locks eyes with the trashed locals and shady lurkers haunting the back alleys. Admitting he's still basically a rookie in the real world, Elcid asks if they're crashing at an inn for the night. But Leon's got tunnel vision. Hitting the guild comes first. Sure, there's no ticking clock, but locking down that adventurer status, he toys with the idea of playing the mercenary game, but he's chasing a vastly different endgame. Mercenary work way too suffocating. Plus, it's a straight ticket into the toxic, backstabbing drama of filthy rich nobles. If he's going to carve out a hero's legacy, Leon decides that grinding monster extermination quests as an adventurer is the ultimate cheat code. Elcid totally backs the play, dropping the cold, hard truth that his magical seals aren't snapping open anytime soon anyway. Deep in the wild woods, Leon finally unearthed the raw, unfiltered truth about his blade. Since Elcid crash-landed a whole year ahead of the Oracle's prophecy, brutal spiritual chains are deadlocking most of his divine hacks. Usually wielding the holy sword blesses the user with a ridiculously busted healing factor, basically making them immortal. Stacked with insane physical buffs, this weapon is a literal meat grinder forged, not to mention it supercharges the user's aura and holy energy to trigger those god-tier abilities. Knowing he's got a massive power gap to close, Leon slaps his paperwork onto the desk of a pink-haired receptionist. Reese, the upbeat guild worker, verifies his academy enrollment and heavily scrutinizes Sir Helmut's golden recommendation letter. This heavy clout instantly slingshots him straight into rank D, totally bypassing the garbage tier fetch quests. Scanning the rank specs, Leon realizes that rank D is where the real blood-pumping missions actually kick off. Reese hypes him up, explaining that with his VIP backing, he'll rocket to rank C in no time if he actually flexes. But rank B, that's a massive, brutal brick wall. It practically demands the raw mastery of an aura-infused weapon. Leon's mind is completely blown. Projecting aura out of your physical body is just a mid-tier baseline requirement. He pictures a searing blade slicing effortlessly through solid steel and boulders, letting the terrifying reality sink in the gap between him and the rank A or S type. Smashing through into rank B is the absolute starting line for evolving into a literal superhuman, and his heart practically hammers out of his chest, completely psyched about scaling. Meanwhile, Elcid is totally geeking out over the guild's vibe, completely fascinated by the insane mix of species hanging around. Werewolves, elves, and even stuck-up high elves are just chilling together like it's no big deal. It's a massive plot twist from 3 centuries ago, when these factions were constantly tearing each other to shreds in endless turf wars. Elcid drops some serious respect for whoever built this alliance, but he just brushes it off. Flashing a bright smile, she stamps the final documents, making his membership highly official. But wait, there's one brutal catch. To truly kick things off, Leon has to knock out a starter quest for the grand total of exact. Leon's soul basically blue screens at the horrific realization that he's about to do unpaid intern labor. Reese breaks it down: if he wants the guild's street cred, he's got to pay the sweat equity to earn it. Elcid is dying of laughter, ruthlessly roasting him by saying the real world isn't exactly a walk in the park. Leon barks at the spirit to shut his trap, watching his fantasies of banking easy cash instantly go up in flames. Filthy sewage splashes against slick cobblestone as the warrior grunts, frantically scrambling for his footing in the pitch black. He low-key admits this is his first time clashing swords with a literal tsunami of oversized rats, and the vibe is anything but heroic. His partner in crime, the holy sword spirit Elcid, isn't dishing out a single ounce of sympathy either. The spirit ruthlessly flames his sloppy form, pointing out that his current moveset is strictly hard-coded for one-on-one brawls, which is a massive red flag when he's drowning in a frenzied furry mosh pit of teeth and claws. To hack his way out of the swarm, Elcid screams that he needs to keep slashing like a relentless blender. The sentient blade swears there's no harder grind than carving. Whether they crawl or fly, the bleeding warrior growls back at this utterly unhinged, bloodthirsty training session. That feels a bit too hardcore for a supposedly sacred weapon. Elcid quickly fires back, reminding the guy that he literally has no one to blame but himself. After all, he was the one who voluntarily signed up for this nasty sewer-clearing gig. Slicing through yet another grotesque monster, our hero lets out a heavy groan as the sheer physical exhaustion starts stacking up. He suddenly freezes, catching sight of a bizarre silhouette, lurking deep in the shadows behind the pack. He taps Elcid, asking why one specific ratman is sporting a giant horn on its skull. The glowing orb breaks it down. They are staring at an evolved variant, a beast that has either survived countless battles or gorged itself on enough loot to mutate into some twisted hobgoblin look-alike. Intrigued by the actual danger level, the warrior asks what he should be watching out for. Elcid confirms the horn is a dead giveaway, guaranteeing the creature is packing a special skill. The size and number of those horns basically broadcast how lethal its magic will be. But Elcid decides that a little hands-on experience is the ultimate teacher, brushing off our warrior when he asks if they can scan the power beforehand. The sphere just cryptically labels the ability as absolute trash. Suddenly, the Ratman unleashes an ear-piercing shriek, blasting out a nasty pestilence curse that barrels toward the warrior in a massive wave of dark energy. But it is a total flop. Since Leon is literally wielding a divine weapon, the shadowy magic just vaporizes before even grazing his skin. Realizing this, overconfident beast just picked a fight with the absolute worst opponent. Today, our warrior flashes a wicked, predatory grin. He demands the creature hand over its horn immediately, leaving the monster utterly bewildered, watching its ultimate attack get swatted away like a pesky mosquito. Cut to the guild. The receptionist. Ritz stares in absolute horror at a massive bulging sack. Her brain is short-circuiting, trying to process that this guy is actually dropping off 50 pounds of severed ratman tails. Leon casually tosses even more loot onto the towering pile, revealing a handful of rare ratman horns, like they are just spare change. He casually mentions that after slaughtering around 200 basic rats, he bumped into 3 or 4 of the elite variants. He asks if these weird horns are actually worth any cash, crunching the numbers and realizing that his massive kill count for a single day just hit 230. She realizes this is an insanely legendary haul for a complete rookie. The veteran adventurers hanging around can only stare in pure shock. Ritz finally snaps out of her trance when Leon calls her name, and frantically tallies up the monster drops. She hands over a sweet payout totaling 13 silver coins and 50 copper ones. That is a way bigger bag than Leon ever expected. She breaks it down, explaining that those specific horns are super high in demand and carry a premium price tag. Ritz admits she is mind blown. Literally nobody has ever pulled off a haul like this on their very first quest. Wiping out basic mobs is one thing, but completely obliterating 4 evolved beasts screams that Leon has already mastered his aura. Even with him being so young, she totally fangirls over his crazy skills before officially stamping him into the system as a D-rank adventurer. Handing over a shiny copper badge, she points out that the engraved crest represents the independent city of Cartagena, known as the Heroic City. Leon questions if this brand new pass works anywhere. He travels. Ritz confirms it definitely does, but throws in a catch: adventurers sitting at rank B or lower get bumped to lowest priority at other guild branches. It stops rookies from just cherry-picking the easy fun quests. Leon stares down at the metal tag. It hits him. This is his official proof. He is not just some academy kid anymore. He is a legitimate, hardcore, professional adventurer. Ritz eagerly offers to scout out his next big mission, promising to flex whatever tiny bit of authority she has to hook him up with the best gigs. Leon just nods in quiet thought, his mind already plotting his next power play. As golden hour paints the Cartagena skyline, Elcid bursts into a loud, echoing laugh as they stroll away. The sword jokes that Ritz 100% thinks Leon is some overpowered holy knight operating deep undercover. Leon looks genuinely confused until the snarky blade explains the trope. Taking a filthy, dirt-cheap gig like scrubbing sewers is exactly the kind of humble flex legendary knights pull during their secret training arcs. And since Leon is technically a chosen hero, the glowing orb figures the poor girl is not entirely off the mark. Leon just shakes his head, terrified she might actually pass out if she ever uncovers the embarrassingly basic truth of his situation. But Elsid keeps roasting him, teasing that being the receptionist who casually handled a hero's paperwork will make her an absolute legend. Heck, she could probably retire early, just by cashing in on her tell-all memoirs. Leon shrugs off the massive misunderstanding, defending himself by pointing out he never technically lied to her face. Plus, actually helping out the locals while grinding for XP is way better than constantly looking sketchy. He locks in his plan: he will grind in Cartagena until he hits at least B rank, and then make a trip to Basurto. But as Leon wonders aloud how long climbing the ranks will actually take, Elsid casually drops a bomb. 100 days should be more than enough. The young warrior is totally stunned by this insane hyperspeed timeline. The snarky sphere just shrugs it off, admitting he originally planned for a much longer training montage. The 6-month training plan trashed. Watching his successor trudge through literal sewage just to rank up is absolutely pushing it. This floating holy weapon treats the whole sewer gig like a massive slap in the face, demanding they speedrun the leveling process just to salvage its bruised ego. Leon just stares at the glowing orb like it grew 2 heads. He is utterly baffled about how scrubbing nasty drains somehow became a personal attack against a talking blade. The glowing blue marble is basically spiraling into a full-blown midlife crisis. At first, it wanted to take it slow and mentor the kid for half a year, but that blueprint is totally scrapped now. This snail's pace, yeah, it is just not cutting it. Sure, grinding low-level quests is technically training, but watching the next great hero mop up sewer sludge to climb the ladder is just downright humiliating. A deep, heavy hum of spiritual energy pulses through the air as the spirit completely vents its rage. Our boy tries to look on the bright side, pointing out that sewer duty actually drops some serious cash. That logic, it completely sends the spirit off the deep end, demanding to know what kind of garbage mindset that is. It barks that the kid needs to max out his stats immediately and slay at least 1 dragon. Picturing a massive fire-breathing reptile, Leon absolutely loses it. He screams that this insane difficulty spike is completely unhinged. Now that his dynamic vision and footwork are locked in, it is time to power up through actual bloodshed. Heroes actually get a broken cheat code. They can absorb and stack the raw stats of every monster they slaughter. Leon suddenly pieces it together. Is this the link between beasts and that aura El Cid hyped up earlier? Everyone assumed you needed high-end pricey potions and elite royal training to awaken aura, but that was a massive scam. The highborn elites literally gatekept the truth to hoard all the power. In reality, anyone can convert monster drops into pure aura. With those power-hoarding nobles long dead, only El Cid holds the blueprint. No wonder the sword is so obsessed with grinding mobs. But apparently, tossing 1,000 ratmen into the blender would not even equal the XP of 1 high-tier demon. El Cid lays it out. Once Leon builds the muscle memory for absorbing power, they are moving up to heavy-hitter bosses, and eventually soloing dragons. Seeing zero joke in the spirit's vibe, Leon starts aggressively sweating. El Cid snaps back. A legendary holy blade is not some glorified maid service. It was never forged to act as a magical air purifier or a sewer scrubber, which hilariously is exactly what Leon forced it to do. Turns out the little blue orb has been holding a massive grudge over being treated like a magical bidet. When Leon begs to know why dragons are even on their bucket list, El Cid drops a massive bombshell. They are marching straight to the Titan mountain range. Leon practically loses his mind. That zone. Even dragons avoid that place like the plague, because the Giant King runs the show there. Why on earth would they casually stroll into a demon lord's turf that literally wiped out entire kingdoms? El Cid swears the crazy loot will be worth the risk. The sword's original true body is buried somewhere deep in those peaks. And since its memory files are completely corrupted, they have to backtrack. The spirit locks in a hardcore deadline to hit that death zone in exactly 6 months. Leon is incredibly skeptical. Waltzing into a literal meat grinder just to solve a mystery sounds like straight-up suicide. El Cid totally waves off his panic, stating they are not going there on vacation. As long as the kid can tank a few hits, they are golden. It tells the stressed-out warrior to just put his faith in the holy blade. Shockingly, Leon actually agrees. He realizes that so far blindly following the glowing orb has not gotten him killed yet. El Cid celebrates by instantly dropping a bomb. Hellish training starts right now. Leon screams in absolute terror the second he hears the word hellish. Cut to the guild. Some random local thug shouts at Leon, calling him cat, and sneeringly asks if he is off to exterminate more rats. Leon thinks the nickname is incredibly cringe, but he really cannot argue. The rumors already blew up. Everyone knows he piles up mountains of dead ratmen every single day, so the cat title, it permanently stuck. Handing over his latest loot bag, the receptionist points out it feels a bit light. Leon sighs, explaining the ratmen are going extinct. They stopped rushing him because they finally realized he is basically a walking meat grinder. Even those brainless mobs have enough survival instinct to stay away. With the sewer population crashing hard, he decides it is officially time to hunt for bigger quests on the bounty board. The receptionist is already one step ahead, sliding 4 hand-picked quests across the counter. Our guy spots this one ancient-looking bounty, looking like it's been rotting in some forgotten dungeon since the dawn of time. He figures it has to be massively unpopular since no one has ever bothered to update it, and that is exactly why he snaps it up. The mission: wiping out a horde of rock slimes. These nasty little freaks lurk deep underground, right near the fortress, and they have this terrible habit of literally eating the local bedrock. If nobody takes them out, the entire foundation of the fortress is going to completely cave in. It is a filthy gig, but hey, someone has got to step up. Our MC rolls up to meet the client, the defense captain of heroic Cartagena. He figures a high-ranking officer like this won't try to rip him off. But get this. The captain looks genuinely clueless when he spots the rock slime bounty. Swearing up and down he never issued it, the MC flashes the official guild stamp, leaving the captain totally baffled, muttering about some clerical screw-up. Then, it clicks. He asks if this is the legendary stray cat who's been wiping out the sewer rats. The second our warrior nods, the captain's whole vibe does a massive 180. He starts hyping the kid up, declaring they desperately need more hardcore adventurers just like him. He rants about how most guys just want easy carries and dodge the real grind, calling the whole scene absolutely pathetic, and basically begging our warrior to agree. The captain dangles some fat bonus rewards if the mission goes smoothly. Absolute win for Elcid, right? Even if this captain is being super extra, cut to them pushing deep into the tunnels, pure, damp, slick misery. Sure, it is not as foul as the sewers, but the terrain is a total nightmare for anyone without god-tier footwork. Elcid actually points out that this is the ultimate training ground for their stance techniques. Then, out of nowhere, Leon spots 3 glowing green blobs shifting in the pitch black. Elcid snaps at him to lock in and use his vision, reminding him that if these things were just your average squishy mob drops, other high-ranking players wouldn't be dodging this quest. Leon realizes the little blue orb is spitting straight facts, gripping his weapon tight for the clash. Whoosh! A massive boulder shrieks through the air inches from taking Leon's head clean off. He's scanning frantically for the sniper until Elcid screams out, telling him to watch his front. One of the slimes just launches itself with an ear-piercing screech. Leon roars, slashing his blade, backed by a lethal surge of energy. He cleanly slices the freak in half, but the recoil sends insane shockwaves up his arms as the dust clears. The monster's true nature clicks. These aren't just gross balls of jelly. Their outer shell is pure, unadulterated bedrock. They are literally rock slimes, and Leon is going to have to bleed for this paycheck. Another warning echoes out, telling the young warrior to watch his blind spot, right as a gooey green monstrosity springs from the shadows with a nasty shriek. He lunges with a battle cry, driving his blade into the creature's surface, only to hear a deafening metallic clang. Suddenly the name rock slime makes horrible sense. The spirit, shifting into full mentor mode, breaks it down. Sure, the kid knows the basic RPG rules: shatter the slime's core and you win. Crushing that glowing center instantly flatlines the beast, completely bypassing its annoying armor. But here is the massive catch. Floating deep inside that slimy neon green body are dozens of jagged rock fragments. They swirl around like a heavy-duty meat shield. Our boy realizes this freak of nature actually has a galaxy brain, deliberately using the debris to block its one weak spot. No wonder the veteran players completely dodge this massive headache. Normally you'd just brute force a slime with a heavy hammer, or slice through it like butter. But this internal rock armor makes conventional weapons basically useless. The spirit watches closely as Leon braces for round 2. The stone chunks inside the monster grinding together with a sickening crunch. With a feral roar, Leon swings again, but the parry just shreds his stamina, sending a painful shockwave straight through his bones. Elcid shouts that the slime isn't just tanking the hits, it is actively locking onto 4 of Leon's vitals, knowing the kid can't dodge everything in time. Leon immediately calls for a tactical breakdown of that last strike. The spirit confirms his worst fear. Those rocks aren't just shields, they are deadly projectiles. At roughly 16 feet out, right after unleashing its rocky barrage, the slime leaves a split-second window before it can reload. Leon crunches the numbers in his head. Closing the gap during that exact opening, it would let him land a couple of lightning-fast strikes. But the real nightmare is shattering that spinning stone barrier just to reach the core. He seriously wonders if a basic slash is even going to cut it here. El Cid chimes in, advising him to use his vision to track those exposed internal rocks and then thread the holy blade right through the gaps. But those jagged fragments are swirling endlessly, making a clean shot next to impossible. A cocky smirk creeps onto our boy's face as he suddenly realizes a crisis is just a massive flex waiting to happen. The sword drops a crucial hint right when the slime winds up to fire its internal gooey current pauses for just a fraction. That microsecond is the absolute only window Leon's current stats will allow for a dead center core strike. When asked if this was his master plan all along, El Cid smugly confirms he knew it the whole time. Hyped and ready to risk it all, our guy goes full throttle blasting forward. He knows the absolute stakes. Botch the timing by even a millisecond, and he goes from the hunter straight to the prey. Since these toxic blobs operate completely on vibration radar, the spirit barks at him to make his footfalls practically weightless. Killing his ground pressure is the ultimate key to staying completely off their radar. This ghost-like stealth approach perfectly syncs up with his footwork. Leon locks in intensely, hyping himself up that he has got this in the bag. Weaving wildly through the splashing toxic sludge and incoming shrapnel, he blindly trusts the movement tech the spirit just hammered into him. Our hero shifts through the battlefield with pure, unadulterated focus. A sudden raw grunt escapes his lips as he narrowly dodges a lethal blast, gritting his teeth against the crushing shockwave. Lungs burning, he tears through the absolute chaos, sparks flying fiercely as his blade parries a massive jagged chunk. His eyes dead locked on that glowing crimson core pulsing deep inside the green muck. With one final explosive burst of speed, he shreds straight through the slime's defenses, gasping for air as the monster finally shatters into a million pieces. The spirit begrudgingly admits that even though Leon probably didn't mean to do it, that crazy maneuver actually paid off. Leon is absolutely clueless, asking what the heck he means. The spirit drops the bomb he just accidentally unlocked level 2 of their footwork technique. Our hero is completely stunned. The spirit breaks it down, explaining that balancing on flat ground and moving silently is literally just the tutorial. True top-tier mastery means weaponizing your environment. Whether you are sliding on black ice or stepping on melting steel, you use it to boost your power. It is all about insane adaptability, flipping an absolute nightmare scenario into a total W. By widening his stance and dropping his center of gravity, Leon totally ditched his stiff, rigid form. He did it to unlock 100% fluidity in his movement. El Cid keeps the harsh masterclass going, roasting Leon by saying his old moves were only good for walking in a park. But in a claustrophobic zone, with low ceilings and slippery damp floors, switching up the whole playbook is literally mandatory. Leon has to agree, admitting that getting low makes his movement feel way less clunky and insanely smooth. The spirit practically smirks, asking if the grueling training feels a little more legit now that he is actually surviving. But when the warrior hypes up his demonic sword, El Cid totally brushes the praise off, calling this entire run straight-up noob-level stuff. Then it drops an absolute bombshell. Once he levels up, Leon shouldn't even bother dodging every single attack. Leon is visibly horrified, but the spirit aggressively insists. Learning how to tank a hit while completely mitigating the damage is absolute mandatory survival for actual life-or-death combat. The backseat gaming continues as the spirit yells at him to stop blindly spamming the exact same thrust attack. If the timing is actually on point, a sweeping slash is way more devastating, especially when facing down more than 2 enemies at once. Leon finally snaps, losing his absolute mind and screaming right back at the glowing demonic blade. He tells the spirit to just ask him to straight up die already. The spirit roars back that this is all for his own good, warning him that a comfy fighter today is a dead body tomorrow. Our guy fires back that he isn't even remotely comfortable yet, but the spirit completely ignores the whining. Because by El Cid's ancient hardcore standards, Leon is basically chilling at a spa right now. And right on cue, the sword launches into a classic boomer style, back in my day we survived on hardcore mode rant, leaving our hero standing completely frozen in an ocean of dissolved slimes, looking absolutely mentally drained. The fortress guards are straight up running a betting pool at this point. Since we're officially rolling into week 3 of this kid's insane non-stop grind, one of the sentries asks when he clocked in today, and his buddy confirms he was grinding before 10 a.m., beating the second shift out the door. You gotta respect that kind of hustle from someone so young. At first the kid looked like he couldn't even to handle a handful of trash-tier rock slimes, but lately, he's been hauling out bags stuffed to the absolute brim. Even though the bounty for clearing those rock slimes is absolute garbage, the kid's a certified legend for sticking it out. Suddenly, a guard shouts that he's finally emerging. Heavy footsteps echo as the young warrior approaches looking like he just got dragged through a literal meat grinder. Handing him a rag, the guard mentions today is the final day of his contract. The guard gets a totally confused stare in return. The kid is wondering what's up with the sudden VIP treatment. Flashing an exhausted but seriously cocky grin, our guy drops the bomb that he's totally wiped out every single slime, hugging the fortress walls. And since rock slimes spawn way slower than those nasty rat men, the perimeter is basically locked down and safe for a good while. He drops those massive heavy bags of slime cores with a ridiculously satisfying thud, telling the guards to shoot a message to the Adventurers Guild that this quest is officially a wrap. Walking away, he wonders if he's actually ready for the big leagues. El Cid manifests with a super confident nod, telling him all that power he's been farming from crushing those slimes is the literal key to everything. He's finally about to take his very first step into the world of Aura. Back in his room, the spirit confesses that things escalated way faster than anyone predicted. Since rock slimes are basically living batteries of mana, the blueprint was always for the kid to siphon their energy. But they just speedran the whole process, beating the schedule by an entire month. Leon has officially hit the level cap needed to kick off his aura training. The spirit points out that Leon is actually a massive late bloomer compared to those high society snobs. Usually kids from insanely filthy rich families get a whole awakening ritual right at birth to bust their mana veins wide open, chugging rare elixirs to build an instant aura foundation. It's your classic pay-to-win elite privilege, where your social rank literally hard-codes your starting stats. For a commoner like Leon, unlocking aura without that silver spoon ritual used to be completely out of the question. El Cid breaks it down. Trying an awakening ritual to forcefully unclog a system packed with toxic impurities usually ends with the guy flat-out dying. From the massive blowback, it's a super high-risk DIY death trap. But luckily, Leon's been soaking up raw mana like a literal sponge, and even better, he's got the holy sword backing him up. The blade's holy power acts like a VIP bodyguard for his mana veins, instantly patching up any internal damage while the ritual pops off. There's a massive catch though. He has to tank an absolutely hellish level of pain. If he blacks out, the whole awakening completely tanks everything. Rides entirely on his raw, unfiltered willpower. Leon glances up, just as glowing ethereal blades start glitching into existence right out of thin air. Before his brain can even process the threat, the glowing steel impales him straight through. A raw, agonizing scream rips from his lungs as the pain hits him like a freight train. Blinding light violently sparks and pulses around him. As he stays locked in his meditative stance, forced to tank the brutal assault, even more blazing phantom blades rain down, skewering his body, while he fights like hell to stay awake through the brain-melting sensory overload. The spirit is genuinely mind-blown. The kid actually tanked 10 full blades without crumbling. The second Leon's aura finally violently snaps awake. The spirit realizes that the presence of some seriously sketchy heavy hitters hiding in the city just spiked on the radar. Leon violently gasps for air, blood dripping down his chin, but the blinding agony is instantly replaced by an insane new high. This is it. This is aura. He can literally feel the pure energy surging through his veins, a wildly refined power pumping straight from his core. Leon flexes his fists, feeling like he just unlocked some crazy secondary engine that makes his raw physical strength look like an absolute joke. He yells out that he feels like an untouchable god, but the spirit instantly and brutally crushes that ego trip, snapping at him that he's dead wrong. Out of nowhere, a dude completely decked out in gold named Roderick glitches into his vision, hyping the kid up as absolutely insanely built. Roderick fully admits Leon completely shattered his expectations with that crazy display of sheer willpower. The blue spirit looks super ticked off, and Roderick smirks, asking why he's acting so salty about a win. The spirit aggressively fires back, throwing it in his face that training the hero was supposed to be his solo gig. Roderick just shrugs it off, pointing out they got the W anyway, and that a massively OP hero is a massive win for everyone. But the spirit snaps back that the real issue here is the risky shortcut Roderick pulled when binding him to the Holy Blade. Roderick flexes his status as the Holy King, claiming Leon as his rightful heir, practically telling the spirit to keep its mouth shut and stick to cloud watching. Snapping back to reality, the spirit admits it only expected Leon to tank 5 blades. It only used the baptism to flush out his main energy vein, meaning his minor pathways still need massive work. The spirit calls him a cocky kid overflowing with just a fraction of power, serving a harsh reminder that he is miles away from the finish line. Leon knows that all too well, but he is completely distracted by the raw energy buzzing across his skin, acting like a brand new nervous system. It is his newfound aura sensitivity. The spirit explains that if he locks in, he can ride that energy wave to scan his entire surroundings. Leon thinks that sounds insanely overpowered, but the spirit quickly kills the hype. It is time for a hardcore lesson on how aura actually operates, kicking things off with the fact that it possesses unique elemental traits. A chalkboard pops into existence as the spirit breaks down the 5 basic human elements: water, wood, fire, metal, and earth. Plot twist though, Leon's trait is nowhere on that board. The spirit is genuinely stunned, realizing Leon somehow managed to awaken the exact same legendary attribute as the spirit itself. Leon's eyes practically bulge out of his skull as he asks if it is actually a perfect match. The spirit confirms it with a wicked grin. Leon is rocking the sun attribute. We are talking pure light and scorching heat, the absolute highest tier element that screams absolute brilliance. After realizing he just scored the light and heat element, the exact god-tier trait representing pure radiance, Leon is literally bouncing off the walls with massive hype. The little blue egg stares at him with pure exhaustion and tells him to act his age, demanding he pay attention since they need to run a quick status check before diving into the real meat of the training. Sid snaps his fingers, instantly summoning the protagonist's holographic status window. He went from being the absolute zero aura loser to the guy who finally unlocked his dormant power, and his jaw drops realizing his aura is already at level 3 even though he literally just awakened it seconds ago. On top of that, his overall rank bumped to level 2 and even his physical martial body leveled up alongside it. Sid watches all this with a flash of genuine pride. Fired up by the insane progress, he loudly declares he wants to teach Leon some actual swordplay, a crucial skill he completely lacks. Basically, it is time to swing some heavy steel. Our boy matches that chaotic energy, totally pumped to learn new combat skills. But hold up. The talking blue egg suddenly gets dead serious. He drops a bombshell, revealing they need to handle some nasty business in the city first because their enemies are already lurking right there. Sid claims he can literally feel their dark auras. These are the hero's ultimate rivals. Massive traitors trying to pull off a sketchy master plan by actively manipulating beings from alternate dimensions. Leon pushes for a specific name, but the spirit grimly states that there is no single title for that kind of toxic malice. They are just a collective of pure evil, and they are gearing up to make a major move in exactly 2 months. Instead of backing down, Leon just gets insanely fired up to train even harder. Sid smirks, saying that is exactly the vibe, and the whole reason they have been constantly slaughtering monsters. Fast forward to their return to the motel where they run right into the gorgeous Race. She admits she was low-key freaking out because her man vanished for 4 straight days, also pointing out that he is giving off a totally different energy now. Leon casually mentions he achieved spiritual enlightenment, which makes her light up, but she quickly adds that a double celebration is in order. Our boy has zero clue what his girl is talking about right up until the redhead proudly whips out a shiny rank C promotion badge just for him. This is wildly unexpected considering you normally have to sweat through a grueling exam to rank up. But honestly, after all the insane stunts he pulled, his hardcore actions basically did the talking for him. The ripple effect of his crazy feats scored him massive street cred and top-tier ratings, heavily boosted by the guard captain spamming the guild with glowing recommendation letters. Anyway, Leon asks if he is finally cleared to tackle rank C bounties, and Rise gives an excited nod. He immediately starts digging through quest boards, desperate to uncover some intel on this malice squad or track down his hidden enemies, to be exact. So he aggressively shuffles through stacks of paper flyers, finding absolutely zero clues connected to the ominous warning he just got. He is totally ready to rage quit and just go hit the gym instead. But then a wild idea hits him. Why not take sketchy requests straight from the slums? Rise instantly panics. Those rundown districts are notoriously sketchy and packed with desperate people. And the slums here in Cartagena hit entirely different. We are talking grimy thieves, junkies, ladies of the night, shady informants, escaped felons, black market smugglers, and cold-blooded assassins practically running the block. It is absolute chaos down there. Naturally, Leon is dying to dive right in, specifically because it is a completely lawless, totally unfiltered war zone. Rumor has it that's exactly where he'll find the intel on this shady syndicate. But she shuts him down cold, telling him there are 0 bounties dropping from that side of the map. She makes it crystal clear. That kind of dirty work is strictly mercenary territory, not for official adventurers. Turns out the guild absolutely refuses to meddle in street-level turf wars. All the chaos tearing up the slums, that's strictly human-on-human violence. Leon knows pivoting to a rogue mercenary right now is a total dead end. The rules are way too tight and he didn't grind this hard just to throw it all away. Still, Rise actually throws him a lifeline. She slides him a highly specific quest, wiping out a possessed suit of living armor inside a rotting, abandoned mansion. And it's a massive clutch move. She subtly hints that he should scope out the surrounding territory, knowing damn well it sits right on the bleeding edge of the slums. For a split second, the air completely leaves Leon's lungs.